Hello guys, this is part 3, and let's get started. I guess, and warning, there might be 18 plus stuff. If you under 18 do not watch, but I know that won't stop some of y'all, so let's get started. Sarutobi's office. Naruto turning his gaze to who Sarutobi was pointing at, he says a very beautiful mature woman. She had long ankle-length auburn hair with a top knot on the top, with bangs sort of like Ino's that hung in front of her right eye, and 2 crossing bangs each on top of her bust. She looked to be very slender, and a lot more older. Naruto concurred that she had to be at least a little older than Kurenai or Yugao. Taking note of what she was wearing, she had on a long-sleeved blue dress that has mesh armor inside. The dress hanged off her shoulders to where it made her bust somewhat more visible. Naruto could definitely say she was one of the most beautiful girls he has seen. Mei, on the other hand, was slightly drooling. She has never seen such a handsome man. Examining him, he had the body of a god. Muscles in all the right places, you can defiantly tell with the thin white long sleeve-like clothes he was wearing. Tall and lean, not bulky like some ninjas. His hair caught her attention along with his face. His hair looked to be flowing. The strand on his forehead gave him a smooth appeal. His face, in Mei's opinion, was perfect. But their eyes met. His gaze looked so serious, it was fierce, and it held you in place. It sort of made her a little scared. Naruto, catching eyes with her, couldn't believe how beautiful her green eyes looked. Walking towards her, he grabs her hand and rubs it. Very nice to have your acquaintance, Mei-san. And might I say, you have to be one of the beautifulest women I have ever seen. Mei smiled. So a flatterer, huh? No one can play that game better than I can. Mei loved to get men to blush and stutter. She always felt empowered knowing both her looks and body can turn men into goo. Mei responds back, and who might I have the great pleasure of knowing your name, handsome? Naruto smiles. She wants to play, I see. Mai is Naruto Namikaze. And I'm honored I interest you, Naruto said, smiling. Well, you defiantly know how to catch a woman's eye. Naruto smiles, and with her hand still in his, he plants a soft kiss on top before letting go. Mei smiles and then turns to Sarutobi. So this is Naruto. Well, I can't wait to see what he is made of. Sarutobi nods. Yes, well, Naruto-kun, you will accompany her to their base, and you will end this war. Naruto nods. When do I leave? GG. Sarutobi looks at Mei. Meet me in the front gate in 15 minutes. Naruto nods. Well, I don't want to keep someone as beautiful as you waiting, Mei-san, but I have everything I need with me, so we'll be waiting. Naruto walks out of the door to the front gate. Mei looks back at Sarutobi with a smile. He is very interesting, Sarutobi-san. It seems he knows to charm a woman. Sarutobi laughs. He indeed is. And trust me, he will get even more interesting. With a nod, Mei walks out. Naruto walked out of the tower heading towards the gate. He soon remembers that he hasn't seen Mikoto at all for a couple days. Deciding he had time to kill, he walked to the Uchiha compound to tell her where he was going. Uchiha compound. Walking into the compound, Naruto notices everything looked the same as it was. It was like a ghost town. Walking around, he didn't know where Mikoto would be. He soon hears someone yelling. Flash steeping to the house, he sees Sasuke in the back practicing his techniques. Seeing the fireball he saw at the academy yesterday. Sasuke was heavily panting. I need to get stronger. I will be stronger than the dobe so I can beat Itachi. Seeing this, Naruto goes to the front and slowly knocks on the door. Coming, he hears. Upon opening the door, he sees Mikoto, sporting a blouse with an apron. It seems she was making dinner. Hey Mikoto-chan. Mikito, seeing and hearing him, lunges at him, engulfing him in a hug. She begins to tear a little. Naruto instantly lifts her head up. Mikoto-chan, why are you crying? Mikoto looks at him a little teary-eyed. Oh Naruto-kun, I thought you forgot about me, Mikoto says, sniffling. Naruto instantly places a nice slow and soft kiss on her lips, which for a moment shocked her, but she couldn't deny the feeling of her crush kissing her. After about 2 to 3 minutes of kissing, he pulls away. Mikoto-chan, I would never forget you. Remember that. How about, since you think I almost forgot about you, we'll take you on a date when I get back from a mission. Naruto says. Mikoto instantly brightens up. That would be lovely, Naruto-kun. You say you're going on a mission? Now. Naruto nods. Yes, I am. I am going to Kirigakure to end a war. I might not be around for a while. I thought I would come here to let you know. Mikoto smiles, turns into a frown. Naruto-kun, I want you to be careful, okay? Naruto slightly chuckles. I will, Mikoto-chan. I wouldn't want to miss going out on a date with a beautiful woman like you. Mikoto slightly blushes. Good. She kisses him and slips a little of her tongue in his mouth and says, because you might get more of that if you come back. Naruto pecks her lips slightly. The both hear a sliding door close. Both looking at the sound of the direction, he sees Sasuke looking at him in rage. What the hell are you doing all up on my mom, Dobe? Naruto smirks and wraps an arm around Mikoto and pulls her to his chest. Mikoto, surprised at the actions, places her head on his chest and closes her eyes with a smile. I was asking your mom on a date, Sasuke-kun, is that a problem? Sasuke grits his teeth. You're damn right it's a problem. Get the hell away from my mom. Naruto smiles. Sorry, Sasuke-kun, couldn't do that if I tried. It seems she can't either. Naruto says, looking down at Mikoto, whose face looks very content. Playing with her hair, he hears her sigh happily. Naruto looks back at Sasuke. You never know, you might be calling me Two-san in a couple months. Naruto says while Mikoto's head shoots up, blushing. Does that mean he wants to be with me? Mikoto thought. Naruto looks at her and pecks her lips. Smiling, she lays her head back down. Seeing this, Sasuke loses it. That is it. I don't care who you are, but you're dead. Sasuke lunges at him with a kunai. Surprisingly, Mikoto gets off his chest and pins Sasuke to the floor, Sharingan blazing. Sasuke-kun. You will not hurt the man I love. Naruto and Sasuke look at Mikoto in shock. Realizing what she said, she gets off Sasuke and blushes, avoiding eye contact with Naruto. Sasuke gets up and leaves, slamming the door behind him, leaving him and Mikoto in the room. Naruto walks up to Mikoto. He grabs Mikoto and sets her on his lap on one of their couches. He looks at her. Do you love me, Mikoto-chan? Mikoto looks up at his powerful eyes, turning her head away from his gaze. Yes, Naruto-kun, I do. It started with a crush after you saved me. I was so interested in you, but you had to leave. I couldn't stop thinking about you the past 4 years. When you came back, I was so happy. But then I thought you forgot about me because yo. Mikoto was cut off when Naruto kissed her with passion. Separating. I like you a lot, Mikoto-chan. I can't say I love you, but I feel a deep connection with you. You were one of the first women I came across. I'm glad you like me in such a way. But are you fine knowing that I am in the CRA? Mikoto nods her head. I'm fine. As long as I get my time with you. Naruto smiles and hugs her. They stay like that for a moment before Naruto spoke. I have to go now, Mikoto-chan. Now that when I come back we are going on a date, got it? Mikoto nods and walks him to the door. Please be careful, Naruto-kun. I can't bear to lose any more people. Naruto cups her face and gives her kiss. I will. And I will come back. Just promise you will wait. Mikoto nods her head, smiling. Walking away, Naruto then forms a hand sign and out pops 5 clones of Naruto. I want you to tell Kurenai, Anko, Yugao, Ino, and Hinata about my mission now. Go, Naruto says. Hi, the clone says. The front gate. After meeting with Mikoto and sending his clones off, he waits for me at the front. Closing his eyes, he thinks about what he is going to do in the next couple of weeks. This is the first time he will ever test his combat skills out on a battlefield. He was very excited to finally try his power out. Naruto wasn't feeling as nervous. He knew from the training with Aizen that this was his job, and if he were to become a good Kage, he would have to experience war. All of a sudden he gets hit with the memory of each of his clones. All girls were sad that he had to leave, but he ended up giving them at least a kiss on the cheek, while Anko attacked his lips. Shaking his head at the antics, he hears a girl's voice. Ah, Naruto-kun, I see you are ready, Mei says. Naruto smirks. Naruto-kun? I'm glad the beautiful future Mizukage is getting comfortable with me. Mei smiles charmingly. Well, hopefully we both can get more comfortable when we arrive at the base. Naruto nods. Okay Mei-chan, tell me where are we going? Mei still smiling. Mei-chan, huh? I can get used to that. Well, our trip will 2 days, so we will have to camp for 1 night, after we should reach the base outside of Kirigakure. Let's go, Mei says with a wink. Naruto smiles. This might turn out to be fun. Well, Naruto-kun, I believe you met your match in terms of flattery, Akane says, giggling. Naruto smiles. I don't think so, aka-chan. I've read the many books Aizen has gave me on flirting and seduction. She may put up a strong front, but she will crumble. Naruto says. Akane and Kyoka shake their heads with a smile. I'm not so sure, Naruto-kun. With age comes experience. Naruto smirks. Yes, and that's why I have been able to charm an elegant fox queen and a beautiful Zanpakuto spirit that has lived longer than I have. Akane and Kyoka slightly blush knowing it was true. Naruto and Mei have been traveling for a while. No. Noticing it was getting dark, Naruto speaks up. Mei-chan, it's getting dark. We have traveled far enough. We should get there by tomorrow. Mei nods her head and sits down. I am going to get some food and would. Naruto walks off. Mei began setting up her tent she had with her. She began to think about her home. She just wanted it to be over with. She hoped that Naruto was the real deal, and it would end. 5 minutes later. Naruto came back with edible berries, wood and some fish in a nearby lake. Mei was a little surprised at his resourcefulness. Setting up the logs, he lights it up with a fire while sitting the fish on the top to roast. Finally finishing setting up her tent, she looks up to see Naruto making food. She also realizes he doesn't have a tent. Naruto-kun, you didn't bring a tent with you? Mei asks. Naruto shakes his head. No, I did not, Mei-chan. I spent 4 years in a forest training, so I'm comfortable sleeping on a branch or whatnot. Mei sees this as a good time to try and get him to blush. Well, Naruto-kun, you don't have to sleep out in the cold. Why don't you sleep in my tent with me? Naruto smiles. Mei-chan, if you wanted to get me all by yourself in your tent, all you had to do was ask. I'm sure you would need someone to hold on to at night, right? Mei slightly turns away with a light blush. Damn you, Naruto-kun. You win this round. But there is always next time. Although I wouldn't mind being held by him. He makes me feel peaceful for some reason. Like I could trust him. Naruto seeing this smirks. I told you, aka-chan, Kyoka-chan. It's only a matter of time. Akane and Kyoka giggle. Well, okay, I wouldn't mind being held by you anyway, Mei says with a wink. After dinner she headed into her tent followed by Naruto to get some sleep. Laying down, Mei wants to see how Naruto will react. She pats a spot next to her. Smiling, he lays down right next to her. Putting his hands behind his back, he breaks the ice. So Mei-chan, what is the situation in Kiri right now? Mei sighs. Well, we have been at war with the Mizukage for almost a half a year now. He is becoming too much of a dictator. He slaughters anyone he can't trust. Along with that, people with Kekkei Genkais are slaughtered as well for fear of using it against him. No one is safe. Naruto nods his head. Do you have a Kekkei Genkai, Mei-chan? Mei nods. I do. I am able to use lava and boil release. By mixing the affinities of fire and earth, I am able to make lava that burn through mostly anything. For my boil release, I combine the affinity of water and fire. I can create a corrosive vapor. Naruto was genuinely impressed. Wow, Mei-chan, that sounds very impressive. You surely would be worthy of the title of Mizukage. Mei turns her head and looks at him and smiles. Thank you, Naruto-kun. She sighs yet again. Naruto picks up on it. What's wrong, Mei-chan? Mei looks at him and lays back down. Oh, nothing that concerns you, Naruto-kun. Naruto turns his head to look at her. I know when something is wrong. I can tell by the way you're laying. Mei a little surprised he picked up on her mood. Okay, well, I was just wondering what was going to do after the war. We defeat Yugura, and then I become Mizukage, and then what? I don't even have a man in my life and I'm 30 years old. Sure, I have suitors, but they only like me for my body and looks. Not for me, Mei says with a little sad-ridden face. This surprised Naruto. She was very flirty and cheerful, seemed to be strong. To see her sad didn't look right. I see what this is about, Naruto says. Propping up on his shoulder, he scoots close to Mei and moves one of her bangs out of her eye and gets close to her face. Mei-chan, you are a beautiful woman. Age is nothing but a number. You will find love, I can guarantee it. Don't force it, let it come to you. You will find someone who will love you for you, flaws and all. If it makes you feel better, when I first saw you, you were probably the most beautifulest girl I have seen, and getting to know a little about you, I can tell your inward beauty matches your outward, Naruto says in an honest tone. Smiling, he kisses her forehead and lays back down. Mei this whole time was now blushing, not only at the actions he took but at his words. Mei got closer to him and wrapped an arm around him and laid her head on his chest. Naruto was slightly surprised at her actions. Thank you for your kind words, Naruto-kun. Does that offer for holding on to you tonight still stand? Mei says. Naruto laughs. For you, Mei-chan. Every time Mei laughs as well. Well, good, because you better get used to this. With that, both Naruto and Mei fall asleep with smiles on their face. The next morning, Naruto's eyes flutter open to see the brightness that surrounded the tent. Adjusting his position, he feels something heavy on his chest. Looking down, he sees Mei comfortably snuggled up into him with her head on his chest and her legs draped over his. Smiling, he gently nudges her. Mei-chan, it's time to get up. Mei only snuggles deeper into her. 5 more minutes, Naruto-kun. Naruto chuckles. We have to get moving, Mei. Come on, Naruto says, getting up. Mei sits up, rubbing her eyes while yawning. Naruto took this time to look at her. Wow, Mei-chan. Even when you start the day you still look perfect. Mei smiles. Thank you, Naruto-kun. You're too sweet. Mei continues while getting up. Well, we should be able to reach the base by the end of the day. 2 of my closest associates will meet us halfway. Naruto nods. And who would they be? Mei looks at him. My closet friends, and you could say bodyguards. Chojuro, who is one of the 7 swordsmen of the mist, or used to be until it was disbanded by Yagura. The other is named Ao. He is a highly skilled censor, and he holds the Byakugan in one eye. Naruto raises his eyebrows. Interesting, is he a Hyuga? Mei shakes her head. I don't believe so. Anyways, let's clean up and go. After cleaning up their tent and eating breakfast, they decided to head off. After a few miles of traveling, they do end up encountering the 2 ninjas. Upon stopping, Naruto places his hand on the hilt, not sure if these are the people Mei talked about. Ao, Chojuro, how are you two? Naruto relaxes and takes his hand off the hilt. He takes time to eye them carefully. Seeing the first man, he sees a young man, with blue hair, glasses and sharp teeth. On his back looked to be a wide sword covered in a cloth. Next to him was a man that looked a little older than Mei, about middle age. His hair was up in a moused-up manner. Wearing an eye patch on one eye and having talisman-like earrings on his ear. Mei-sen, I am glad you have made it here safely. Mei nods. Yes, well, of course it helps to have this man here as well. Mei winks. Ao looks at him discerningly. Is this all the help Konoha sent us? How is this man going to stop war? Mei-sen, I believe we have been tricked. Mei speaks up. I was first skeptical at first, but the Hokage said he is above Kage level, and he said we can test him if we want. Chojuro and Ao look at him skeptically. This man? Above Kage level? Back in my day when Ninja. Ao was immediately caught up. Ao, shut up before I kill you, Mei said in sweet sickly voice. Ao quickly shuts up. Well, we spent a lot of time talking here. Come on, let's head to base, Mei said. All 3 nodded and sped off. At the rebel base. Arriving at the base camp was instantly greeted. Mei-sama, you are back, one Jounin said. While after greeting Mei, everyone turned their gaze to Naruto. Some of the men looked at him as if they were sizing him up. while most of the kunoichi couldn't help but think how handsome he was. Seeing the main tent up ahead, Mei turns her head to Naruto. Naruto-kun, this is where we plan and talk about what actions to take next. Stay near me and I will explain to them who you are. Naruto nods. Wailing inside the tent, Naruto sees many middle-aged men in their seats. Talking upon seeing Mei, they greet her. Mei-sama, you are back. Where is the help Konoha sent us? Mei responds, he is right here. Mei says, pointing at Naruto. All the commanders were in disbelief. You are telling me that this man right here will end this war? I'm sorry, Mei-sama, but I have a lot of trouble believing that many of the commanders agreed with him, nodding their heads. Yes, I had my same doubts too, but the Hokage assured me he was capable. He said we were allowed to test him for ourselves. With that, the commanders thought about it and nodded their heads. Mei was about to speak when a shinobi barged in unexpectedly. Mei-sama. Sorry to interrupt, but some of Yagura's forces are invading some of our smaller camps to the west of us. Everyone jumped up in alert. Before anyone was going to move, Mei held her hand. Naruto, I believe this would be a good test for you, Mei says. She then looks at the shinobi that barged in. An estimate on how many shinobis? The shinobi said. At least 100, if not a little more. Mei nods her head, and then she turns to look at Naruto. Naruto nods his head. Very well, you want to test my skills, fine. But remember to keep your eyes open, for if you don't, you will miss everything. Tell your shinobis to evacuate up here. Turning around, he heads out with Mei, the commanders and shinobi running in tow. Arriving at the scene, Naruto sees some tents and supplies being lit on fire by the Kiri shinobi. After the Kiri rebels that remain ran into the main base, Naruto walks forward to see the many Kiri ninja looking at him. Turning his head around, they see Mei with the commanders and rebels a couple feet back, with most of them ready to attack just in case he fails. Mei was shocked and somewhat scared at how his face facade was. He looked completely stoic. His stare felt fierce. Looking back, he nods. With Mei. Mei stood behind Naruto with most of the rebels and commanders. Hey, you think this man can take them all? One ninja said. I don't know, they're alto out on the field right now. Anther ninja said. The commander that spoke out earlier spoke to Mei. What we will do if he fails? Mei looks at him, I really don't think he will. The commander spoke out, we can't be sure of that. Well, we will just have to find out then, Mei says with a smile. Show me what you can do, Naruto-kun. Back to Naruto. Turning his head back to the enemies, he sees one talk. Well, the rebels only send one man? Looks like we are winning the war tonight, fellow shinobis. All of the shinobis yell. Naruto continues to walk towards them with his hand loosely on Kyoka. Kyoka-chan, you ready? Kyoka nods in his mind, let's show them who we are, Naruto-kun. Naruto nods. Stopping, he says to them. An easy win, you say? Let me show you the depth of your arrogance. Come. The first wave consisted of 50 or more shinobi charging at him. Naruto, seeing this, doesn't do anything, which confused many of the rebels, including Mei, thinking he got scared. Mei, seeing them come near him, she all of a sudden yells, Naruto-kun. One shinobi jumps high into the air with his sword coming down. Naruto, seeing this, draws his sword and swings it, pouring Rieyasu into the swing. At a wide arc, the shock waves of the swing became visible and cleaved the man's sword in half, followed by the man and some of the shinobis behind him. The remaining shinobi were stunned. You see the power, can't you? Well then, don't blink if you want to live, he said. At an instant, Naruto is behind the first wave, sheathing his sword with a click. All of the remaining shinobi that were going to attack him dropped with blood spurting out. The rest of the shinobis that invaded were in shock. The speed was unbelievable. Taking advantage. I see, comprehending my speed is too much for you. You are not a factor to me anymore. Holding his palm out, he flares his Rieyasu, slowly pouring into his technique. Heido number 63, Raikoho, Naruto yells. An orb forms at his hand and shoots out thunder at the shinobis in a concentrated form, killing half of the shinobis, leaving a large crater in the ground. Naruto begins to walk closer to the remaining, unsheathing his sword. He shunpas to the rest and slicing each opponent down with one strike before moving to the next. 30 seconds later, Naruto sheathes his sword and walks to one who he left incapacitated. Picking him up, he walks back to Mei. That was just a taste of our power, Kyoka-chan, soon we will be feared. Kyoka smiles. That was too easy, Naruto-kun. Naruto lightly laughs. AKA-chan, how did I do? Akane speaks up. You did very good, Naruto-kun. Nice use of the Kido and nice use of your slashes. Amazing that pouring more Rieyasu increases the swing damage. Naruto mentally nods his head with a smile. Thank you. Well, time to hear what they think. Love you guys, Akane and Kyoka reply with a smile. We love you too. With Mei, the commanders and the rest of the rebel shinobis were very shocked at how he handled them. No one could believe that he took down at least 100 or more shinobis with such ease in only a matter of seconds. One thing is for sure, they have never seen anyone this strong. Mei was starting to believe what the Hokage told her. Strong, handsome, yet sensitive to my feelings. I may have just found the man I was looking for, thought Mei. Seeing the man on Naruto's shoulders, she tells two of the rebels to take him away to interrogate him. Finally reaching Mei, he speaks up. Well, I believe that his display was enough to suffice your desire to see if I can end this war. The commanders nod while Mei walks up to him and gives him a hug. This action shocked many of the shinobi. Men knew that no one was good enough to get Mei's attention, for every time anyone tried they would get shut down. Seeing this, men instantly became jealous. I got worried for a second, Naruto-kun, Mei whispers. Naruto drops his battle facade and whispers, Ah, you were worried about me, Mei-chan? How sweet. Mei smirks. I was just making sure my cuddle buddy would come back so I had something to lay on. Naruto smirks as well. Oh, so I'm your cuddle buddy now? When did this happen? And is this an official position? Mei giggles. When you told me I was beautiful. And yes, you are officially my cuddle buddy. Your chest is more comfy than a pillow. Naruto smiles at her brightly, which makes her heat skip a little. Good, because I wouldn't want it any other way. Mei-chan, both looking into each other's eyes. They both fell drawn, inching closer to each other's face. Ahem, says Ao, who has been watching the whole time. You know, back in my time when it came to courting women, Mei backs up and looks at him. Ao, shut up, or I'll kill you. Ao quickly shuts up. Mei then turns around to face the commanders and rebels. Well, this was Naruto's test to see if he was really the real deal. As you know, he is. We will turn the tide of this battle around with him, and we will end these countless killing and bring back peace to Kirigakure. Many of the rebel shinobis roar in applause. Alright everyone, rest up, for we still have much to do. Mei, being finished, walked off with Naruto beside her. Retiring for the night, Naruto walks into the tent Mei said he was going to sleep in. Taking off his long-sleeved shirt, he laid down looking up. Thinking about the battle he just engaged in, Mei walks in. Spotting Naruto, Mei couldn't help but drool at his physique. It was perfect, like he was sculpted from a marble statue. She gently walked over to Naruto and laid down with him, cuddling up to the side with him. Upon feeling the contact, Naruto opens his eyes and looks to his sides, smiling when he sees Mei. Well, Mei-chan, I can defiantly get used to this, Naruto says with a light laugh, pulling her closer to his chest. Mei flushes a little at how hard his muscles are. Well, I said you better, because we're doing this a lot more often, Mei says, smiling. A few moments of silence reign over them before Mei breaks it. I was a little scared at what you pulled today, Naruto-kun. Naruto turns his head down to look at her. And why is that, Mei? Mei looks up at him. I thought you were going to die. All those men charging at you, and you didn't even move. I thought you froze up. Something just clicked in me to yell your name. Mei looks away. Naruto brings her chin up with his hand. I feel glad knowing you care about me. But I don't want you to worry anymore. As you can tell, no one is clearly a match for me. So cheer up, Mei-chan, please. Naruto then leans down to kiss her forehead. Mei just smiles at the reassurance. It seems lately that's all he's been doing. Making her feel comfortable, safe and needed. Propping on her elbows, she grabs a hold of his face. Naruto-kun. Take me on a date. When all of this finished, Naruto looks back at her a little surprised at how direct she was with the request. I would love to take the beautiful future Mizukage on a date when this war is over. Mei smiles brightly. Good, now hold me. Naruto chuckles and brings her close to his chest again. Mei wanders off to bed in thought. I've never felt this way about a man before. I can't wait for our date, Naruto-kun. Over the next couple of days, they recovered from the attack the Kiri invaders did to them a couple days ago. Walking into the main tent, Mei walks up to the front. Good evening, everyone. Now to business. I just received the report from the man we took into interrogation a couple days ago. We got him to crack, and the information he revealed to us is troubling. Taking a deep breath. The invasion they did was a way to weaken our forces. Yagura is planning to launch a full-scale invasion to end this whole war once and for all. He is going to be targeting this base camp in 4 days' time. The room was now silent. All of the commanders were now fearful. Could they survive a full-scale invasion? Interrupting the silence, Naruto speaks up. If I may, Mei-san? Naruto gestured politely. Mei with a nod continues. Naruto points his finger to a spot on the map. Well, this is why you hired me to end this war. I will intercept them here in this field. Most likely Yagura will be with them, but he will wait till his forces have been diminished. I will eliminate his shinobi in him. Mei immediately shouts, no way, Naruto. There is no way I am letting you go out by yourself. We are all going to war. This our war as well. Naruto shakes his head. I am sorry, but I cannot let you suffer any more casualties. A commander decided to chip in. Boy, you must be crazy if you believe you can take on his whole army plus the Mizukage himself. As impressed we are with your abilities, you are no match. Naruto only looks at him, and then at Mei, who looks at him pleadingly. With a sigh, Naruto says, alright, how about a compromise? You, Mei, and handful of your best soldiers will be on the battlefield. The rest will only hinder the means to end this war. Agreed? Mei and the commanders still look at him unsure. Naruto slightly raises his spiritual pressure, getting everyone in the room to breathe a little hard. Looking at Mei. I am sorry, Mei-chan, but regardless of what you do, I am going to go on the battlefield whether I have you on the field or not. Diminishing his spiritual pressure. Mei looks at him, then sighs. There is no fighting this, huh, Naruto? Fine, I will go along with my best soldiers. Turning her gaze to the commanders, all of you, I still want you to prepare just in case they break through or they come here, though another means. Dismissed. Every started filing out of the tent, until Mei grabs a hold of Naruto's arm. Naruto-kun, why are you so adamant on going alone on the battlefield? I know you're here to help us, but why do it by yourself? Mei says worriedly. Naruto, seeing her expression, softens his features and caresses her cheek. Mei leans into it, liking the affectionate gesture. Mei-chan, there is something you have to know. I am going to defect from Konoha in a few months after the Chunin exams. Mei shoots up her head in surprise. Before you speak, listen to everything I have to say. With a sigh, Naruto continues, in my village, I am not liked. I was scorned, beaten, and had to live out on the streets. It wasn't until I found a man who became my sensei. He trained me to what I am today. I also found out who my parents were, and that I am the Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko. From that point on, I knew what I wanted to do. I wanted to do two things. I wanted to start my own village where no matter who you are, you will be accepted. The second is to be feared in the whole elemental nations. The reason I took this mission and why I am so adamant on going alone is because when I finish this mission, GG promised a place to start to build my new village. Also, this would be a good way to get my name known. Mei stood there silently absorbing the information she was just told. After a few minutes, she spoke up, caressing Naruto's cheek with a smile. I may not understand the situations you had to face on a daily basis, but I do understand your reasoning for what you need to do. You have my support no matter what. Naruto-kun. Naruto looks at her with a soft smile. He was happy knowing that this beautiful woman was understanding. Naruto leaned in close and pecked her softly on the lips. Mei, who was taken back by the kiss, froze. After a few seconds she recovered, and went forward to continue the kiss. After Naruto pulls back and looks at Mei. Mei could not believe she was just kissed by him. But inside she was glad he did, it felt so right to her. Mei-chan, I want you meet two people. Mei raised an eyebrow at what he said. A few seconds later two figures seemingly appeared out of nowhere right beside Naruto. The first one wore an elegant kimono. She had vibrant red hair. The girl next on the other side wore an elegant light and black kimono with light white hair. Turning her eyes to Naruto. Mei-chan, this is aka-chan, or the Kyubi no Yoko, and the women beside me is my sentiment sword spirit Kyoka-chan. Both are my wives. Mei looked at them with wide eyes. Kyubi? The nine-tailed fox? Mei stammered. Akane lightly laughs. The one and only Mei, still wide-eyed. How can you release her? I thought the seal prevents her from doing that? Does the Hokage know? Naruto runs his hand through his hair. I released the seal. As for GG, ignorance is bliss. He doesn't need to know. Mei quickly retorts, are you sure that was a good idea? What if she goes and hurts other people? For Mei that was the wrong thing to say. Akane looked down. Naruto raised his spiritual pressure and grabs Akane and Kyoka by the waist and pulls them close. I don't appreciate you thinking that one of my future wives would do that. I trust her with my life. Same with Kyoka-chan. Both Akane and Kyoka look at him lovingly. Naruto-kun, both girls said, then gently snuggled up to him. Slowly releasing the pressure, Mei gets a hold of herself and looks down. I'm very sorry, Naruto-kun. I didn't know. Can you forgive me? Naruto nods. It's okay, Mei-chan. I just want you to know that I will protect anyone that holds my heart. These two girls have been with me from the start. They are precious to me. Mei nods and walks over to him and introduces herself with a smile. Hello, I am Mei Terumi. Nice to meet you. Akane and Kyoka return the gesture. She then looks at Naruto. I am sorry for what I said, Naruto-kun. And I hope one day I can be a special person in your heart. Mei then walks past them to exit the tent. Great, I think I just messed up the only chance I had of happiness with a man. She almost reaches the end of the tent until she feels someone tug on her arm, bringing her to a hard rock chest. She looks up at Naruto, who is smiling. Mei-chan, it's okay, I know you didn't mean it. But no, you already do have a special place with my heart. I still have to take you on a date, remember? Naruto then leans in to peck her lips softly. Mei feels her heartbeat and hugs him before whispering thank you, Naruto-kun. Naruto only soothes her back. Now go on, future Mizukage, you got an invasion to run. Mei looks up and smiles and pecks him on the cheek and walks out. Turning his attention to Akane and Kyoka, who Kyoka seemed to be blushing, but quickly spots him, looks down. Naruto only raises an eyebrow. Well, Naruto-kun, tell me, what number girlfriend is that? Akane says with a snicker. Naruto only smiles, not sure, aka-chan. I lost count after Hinata and Ino. All three share a laugh. Well, what do you guys want to do? Naruto asks. Akane and Kyoka look at each other. Well, we can go train for a little before going to sleep. Walking off, they decided to brush up on his swordsmanship skills and his Kido. Around nighttime, Naruto decided to go back to his tent while Akane and Kyoka go back inside his mindscape. Both Akane and Kyoka sat there on a bed. So Kyoka-chan, you ready? Kyoka with a blush slowly nods. Akane wraps her arm around her. Come on, Kyoka-chan, it's okay. Everyone gets nervous their first time. I am sure if you just tell him, he will be slow and gentle with you. Kyoka looks at Akane. Well, why wasn't he with you? Akane blushes. Well, that's because I used to have toys that did that for me. And also I like to be put into submission. Kyoka only nods. Kyoka-chan, trust me, take your time with it. I'm sure Naruto will understand. Kyoka nods and looks at her. Okay, I think I'm ready. Back to Naruto. Naruto reaches his tent and was surprised not to see Mai there since she has been cuddling with him for the past couple of days. She's probably still discussing the plans with the commanders. Naruto thought. Naruto takes off his shirt and lays down his sword. Making his way to his makeshift bed, he hears his sword hum. Out comes Kyoka, still sporting a small blush. Naruto sees her and smile. Hey Kyoka-chan. Where's aka-chan? Kyoka responds. She's still in the mindscape. She's asleep actually. Naruto nods before gesturing her to come near him. Walking towards him, she snuggles very close to him. Naruto begins to play with her hair. Kyoka takes this time to look at him. Noticing she is looking at him, he looks down and smiles. What's on your mind, Kyoka-chan? Kyoka only blushes. Okay, all you have to do is tell him. You can do it, Kyoka thought. Suddenly she responds, I think I'm ready. Naruto looks at her weird. Kyoka-chan, repeat that a little slower. Kyoka takes a deep breath. I said I think I'm ready to do it. Naruto still looking at her weirdly. Do what, Kyoka-chan? Kyoka responds, I think I'm ready to finally have sex with you. Kyoka says, blushing while looking down. Naruto goes wide-eyed for a second. He props onto his elbows and brings her chin up. Kyoka-chan, are you sure? I mean, I don't want you to do this just because you think you should. Kyoka looks at him and kisses his cheeks. I want this, Naruto-kun. I really do. Naruto, seeing the sincerity of her eyes, smiles. Well then, I will make sure you will love what we're about to do. Kyoka blushes a little. On Naruto-kun, I'm a virgin. Naruto only smiles. Okay, that only makes it more special. I promise I will be gentle, okay? Naruto nods before he towers over here. Lemon. Once on top, Naruto slowly kisses her on her lips sensually. Kyoka responds by grabbing his face and deepening the kiss. Moving his hands towards the sides of her kimono, he gently rubs them up and down. Kyoka was now relishing in this feeling. She felt so light whenever she kissed him or he touched her. Naruto gently took the collar of the kimono and tugged it to the side, giving him enough room to plant kisses on her neck. Naruto began kissing under her jaw, then down to her neck, leaving the whole side of her neck unkissed. Kyoka now biting back her moans from the feel of his lips on her neck. Slowly he brings up his mouth to her lips, kissing her. Kyoka responds eagerly by kissing him as well. Naruto slowly lick her lips, trying to gain entrance. Kyoka happily lets him in her mouth. This was new for Kyoka, so she spent a good amount of time exploring his mouth. Naruto felt a little more turned on that his mouth was being explored by Kyoka. With a hint of lust, he breaks the kiss and whispers in her ear. This kimono is blocking what I really want. Take it off. Kyoka, who was slightly turned on as well, begins to undress. Naruto takes off his pants, leaving him in his boxers. When the kimono drops, Naruto could not help but marvel at such the beauty. Kyoka's skin was somewhat pale, but it made her look beautiful in the light. Her body was slim, not too skinny and not too fat. Traveling his eyes to her chest, he couldn't help but look at her nice plump breasts. They were a good size, comparable to Akane and Mai. Her nipples were pointy and red, it really brought them out considering her skin was a little pale. Kyoka also took time to look at him. He had muscles in all the right places, and it looked like he was building a tent down there. With a blush she looked at him. So what do you think, Naruto-kun? Naruto only gets closer to her and kisses her lips. You are so beautiful, Kyoka-chan. There are so many things I want to do to you. But I promise I will be gentle. If you're uncomfortable, let me know, okay? Kyoka only nods, feeling flustered that this was her first time showing anyone her body. Naruto lays her down gently. He looks at her, then his gaze travels down her chest. Leaning down, he takes one breast and gives it a lick. Looking up, he sees Kyoka shudder. Naruto continues to lick her nipple and then decides to suck on it. Kyoka was now moaning at this feeling. Naruto-kun, please play with my other one. Naruto nods, and while sucking her nipple, he uses his fingers to gently rub her other one. Kyoka was now feeling more loads of pleasure. She couldn't believe that just by this touch alone she was getting more and more wetter. Naruto then slowly stops and looks at Kyoka. Kyoka-chan, tell me where you want me? Kyoka, who was slowly panting, says, I want you down there, Naruto-kun, if that's okay. Naruto only smiles for you. Kyoka-chan, wherever you want me I will be. Slowly he descends down. Reaching the spot, he slowly pushes her legs aside. He looks at her vagina intently. He could see that it's wet. Kyoka quickly covers it up with her hands, and says embarrassingly, Naruto-kun, don't look at it like that. Naruto only smiles. Kyoka-chan, yours is beautiful. And since you are my queen I will treat it lovingly. Naruto sticks his head forward, and gives Kyoka a long lick. Kyoka unexpectedly moans. Kyoka couldn't believe she was feeling this good. Naruto-kun, do that more please, Kyoka says pleadingly. Naruto then begins to give her long continuous licks to her vagina. Kyoka can't take it anymore and moans louder. Naruto then begins experimenting. While continuing his licks he puts one finger in her, pumping in HR while licking. Kyoka now is going crazy. After a few minutes of moaning he takes his finger out and grabs her legs and places them on her shoulder. Naruto now was sucking on her vagina for dear life, alternating with his tongue. Kyoka started to moan his name. She starts to feel a feeling in her stomach. She pants. Oh my god, Naruto-kun, I'm almost there. Please don't stop. Please, I beg of you. Naruto increases his sucking and licking and finally she yells, Naruto-kun, I'm coming. A load of liquid comes out of her, and into Naruto's face. Naruto drinks it all and looks up at Kyoka, who has a smile on her face while panting. You taste so good, Kyoka-chan. Kyoka looks at him with a blush. Naruto then takes off his boxers, which his 8-inch cock pops out. Kyoka couldn't help but stare at how it looked. Naruto looks at her and says, You ready, Kyoka-chan? She nods. Naruto towers over her, and puts his cock directly in front of her vagina. He looks at her one more time. Now, Kyoka-chan, this is going to hurt. But it is only temporary. Just tell me when you want me to move, okay? Kyoka nods. Naruto gently pushes it in. Kyoka suddenly moans at such the feeling. Sliding in a little bit more he feels the barrier. He looks at her, and with a nod from her she continues. He pushes and breaks her hymen. Kyoka instantly screams. Naruto, seeing this, kisses her mouth, trying to get her mind off the pain. Slowly he puts his whole length in her. Naruto then looks at her face, and sees the tears. He slowly kisses each one that fell and proceeds to kiss her again. After a few minches of being in her he hears her speak, It's okay, Naruto-kun. You can go now. With a nod he slowly pumps in and out of her. Kyoka, knowing that the pain in her lower region was over, slowly starts to moan at the pleasurable sensation. Faster, Naruto-kun, Kyoka says. Naruto now thrusts at good pace. More, Naruto-kun. More. Increasing his speed even more, thrusts even harder. His balls slapping the underneath of her vagina. You feel so good inside me, Naruto-kun. Naruto, occasionally grunting, feels himself coming close. He stops and pulls out. Kyoka, who was enjoying the feeling of him inside, get angry when she feels him pull out. What the hell, Naruto-kun? Put it back in me. Naruto, who was little surprised at her forcefulness, smiles. Turn around and get on your knees and hands, doing what she was told she did. Naruto then plunged back inside her, going at a fast pace. Naruto-kun. This feels so much better. Oh my god, keep going. Naruto smirks. You like that, baby? You like when I do this? He said, smacking her ass while pumping in her. Oh yes, I love when you do that, Naruto-kun. She meets his thrusts with her bucks. I'm so close, Naruto-kun, please keep fucking me like this. After a few more thrusts, he feels her walls closing on his cock. Naruto-kun. Kyoka-chan. They both said as they came together. Kyoka was filled with his seed. She felt so full with him inside. Naruto, pumping his seed into her, felt that her vagina was sucking as much of his seed it can. As their orgasms died down, He pulled out of her and kissed her on the lips. Kyoka shivered at the cold hitting her down there after he pulled out. Naruto grabs Kyoka, brings her close to him. He looks at Kyoka. So Kyoka-chan, how did it feel for your first time? Kyoka looks up and smiles. It was wonderful. Especially since it was with the man I love. Naruto smiles. Good, it feels good knowing I did it with the women I love as well. A few silent moments later Kyoka speaks. Can we do that again? Naruto looks at her and says, just what I was thinking. He rolls over and puts his cock back into her. Lemon over. Mindscape. Akane was turned on at what happened between Naruto and Kyoka. She couldn't believe Kyoka liked it a little rough since her nature was so calm. She was also surprised. She wanted to go one more time. Oh man, I should have went one more round with him. Oh well, next time we do it I'm taking him until I black out. Akane thought with a nosebleed before she materializes out and cuddles on the other side of Naruto. Real world. Another hot sex session and mind-blowing orgasm later. They both fell asleep. Mei, who just got done preparing for the invasion, prepared to go to sleep. Walking back to Naruto's tent, she faintly smells something very musky. Upon opening the flap, she blushes when she sees Naruto and Kyoka naked. She also spots Akane cuddled right beside him. Well, it looks one of them have a good night. Maybe we might even get that far on our date. Mei thought with a slight nosebleed, picturing how they were going to do it. Taking off her shoes, she cuddles on top of Naruto and drifts off to sleep as well. In Kirigakure, a man could be found sitting in a dark office, looking out as his village. Suddenly he feels a presence. Turning around he sees men kneeling. Mizukage-sama, it has been a few days since our forces have returned from our miniature invasion. It is safe to say that they are all dead. They may have also taken POWs. What shall we do? The man turns around. Continue as we planned. It does not matter if they take prisoners or not. At least we have struck fear into the rebels. For now they do not stand a chance. The Neld man nods. Hi Mizukage-sama. The next morning, Naruto opens his eyes as he sees the brightness from outside his tent. Feeling a lot of weight on him, he looks down and sees not only Kyoka, but Akane and Mei as well sleeping on him. Turning his head, he says, Kyoka, awake, and looking at him lovingly. Smiling, he caresses her cheek. Good morning Kyoka-chan, how do you feel? Kyoka only smiles and leans into his hand. I feel great Naruto-kun. I feel like a new woman. Naruto smiles and kisses her. Good, I'm glad you enjoyed last night. Suddenly he feels Akane stirring. Turning his head, he smiles as well. Good morning Aka-chan. How are you? Akane looks at him and smiles. I'm good Naruto-kun. Question is, how are you and Kyoka? From what I saw, you guys put on quite the performance, Akane says, grinning while Naruto laughs and Kyoka blushes. Come on Kyoka, let's go into the mindscape, so you can tell me more of the experience, and so we can clean you up. You both reek of sex. We'll see you later Naruto-kun, Akane says, kissing him on the lips, then disappearing. He turns to Kyoka, who plants a kiss on him as well. I guess I'll see you as well Kyoka-chan. He then puts his mouth to her ear and whispers, and last night was amazing Kyoka-chan. Kyoka blushes a full red. It really was Naruto-kun. I love you Kyoka says, kissing his cheek, then disappearing. He looks down and sees Mei still asleep. He starts to play with her. Looking down, he sees that she looks very peaceful and beautiful when she resting. Mei feels a pleasant sensation on her head, like it was being massaged. Looking up, she sees Naruto smiling at her. Looking around, she sees that Akane and Kyoka are gone. Morning Naruto-kun. Where's Akane and Kyoka? Naruto continuing to play with her hair. Well, they went back inside my mindscape. With a nod, Mei shimmies her way up to Naruto to where her head was on his heart. Naruto-kun? Mei asks. What is it Mei-chan? Mei, listening to his strong heartbeat, says. Can we stay like this for a while? Naruto smiles and only brings her closer to him. Of course Mei-chan, anything for you. Mei smiles and wraps her arm and legs around him. They laid there for a couple minutes before Mei said something.
Naruto-kun, you should take a shower. You smell terrible. Naruto slightly laughs. Yeah, I suppose so.
I'll do it when we get up, Naruto said as they both laid there a little longer.
2 days later.
The day has finally come for the invasion of Yagura's forces to come to the base. Naruto in his tent got on his clothing and snugly strapped Kyoka to the side.
Walking out, he sees most of the rebels running around preparing everything. Catching his attention, he spots Mei with Ao and Chojuro, and 4 rebels with her armored up.
With a nod they begin to walk out of the base camp towards the plains of field where they were supposed to intercept them.
Ao, I want you to scout ahead and figure out when they're near.
Come back here once they are close, Mei says.
Hi Mei-sama, Ao says, running forward.
5 minutes later.
Ao comes back kneeling. Mei-sama, they are approximately 3 minutes away.
With a nod Ao stands up and appears behind her.
Naruto decides to take a step forward. Mid-step he feels someone grab onto him. Looking at who it was Mei. Naruto-kun, promise you will come back to me after this war is over.
Mei looks at him with worried and pleadingly eyes. Naruto's expression softens. I promise you will, Mei-chan, I will come back to you when this over.
Now I want you promise me something.
Mei only nods for him to continue. If I end up fighting Yagura, I don't want you to interfere, okay? Worry about yourself and your teammates here. Mei reluctantly nods, before she brings Naruto into a soul-searing kiss. Naruto could feel the passion she put into it. Naruto then puts passion into the kiss as well. After a few minutes they break up. Sensing more signatures, Naruto turns his head and sees the massive army. They are here, Mei-chan. Mei distancing herself from nods.
Out of the forest came hundreds of shinobis. To the ninjas that were with Mei it looked very daunting. Mei also was feeling slightly nervous.
This was her first time in all-out battle. This was her chance to prove she was a Kage level worth kunoichi.
Naruto takes a step forwards and unsheathes his sword. Ready, Kyoka-chan, aka Chan? Naruto says in thought. Give them hell, Naruto-kun, Akane says.
Yes, Naruto, it is time to show them who we are, Kyoka says. The Kiri shinobi can only laugh at who showed up. Although somewhat surprised that they were intercepted early. A man that seemed to be leading them stepped out and turned around.
Today is the day, men.
We will kill these rebels and end this war.
For the Mizukage.
He yells.
Suddenly he hears a different voice beside him.
If you have enough time to give a speech, you better make sure you keep an eye on your opponent. The man turns around only for his head to be lopped off.
The Kiri shinobi were shocked.
Their leader was taken down dirtily by this man.
One man yelled charge.
One man charged at him with a kunai only for him to be cut down instantly.
Naruto smirked. You thought you could destroy me by striking with power? How naive. No, perhaps we differ in our basic understandings of the word power. I shall enlighten you.
This is what is known as power.
Naruto then slowly builds up his Rieastu. Purple Rieastu started to encircle him.
The pure weight of his Rieastu caused many of the Kiri shinobi, as well as Mei, to stop what they're doing to see who was producing such power. A few minutes of powering up, a towering explosion of purple Rieastu was found coming from Naruto.
Agi! Naruto yells.
He steadily brings his power to a controllable level.
Naruto continued walking with the purple Rieastu around him.
The shinobis were still in shock and couldn't move. Some of the weaker shinobis even spontaneously combusted by such the weight.
Naruto then disappears and starts to cut people down with a single strike using his Shuunpa. Bodies after bodies started to fall. Naruto Shuunpas from place to place. Already cutting the army down to a quarter of what it once was.
Mei and her squad, still shocked, finally snapped out of it.
Let's go, we can't let Naruto-kun have all the fun, she says, smirking.
A group of ninja charge at her.
Yotan, lava globs, Mei yells. Glob of lava shoots out of her mouth and instantly melts the ninjas that charged at her. Running through more hand signs.
Yotan, Yokai no Justu, lava release, melting apparition technique. A large amount of lava came from her mouth, this time encasing the remaining ninja that charged at her. It forms a dome, and seconds later she heard screaming and then stopped. Ao and Chojuro by her side ran forward to cut down more ninjas. Chojuro, taking out his Hiramakari, channeled his chakra into it, making it slightly bigger, decided to cut down more ninjas as well. Seeing how they have defeated the first tier, Mei speaks, "Let's go guys, there are still more people." With Naruto. Naruto at this time could not be stopped by any of the ninjas. Finally closing on the remaining ninja on the field, two ninjas appeared and went through hand sign Suiton, Soryuden no Jutsu, water release, water dragon bullet technique. Two water-like dragons shot out at Naruto. Naruto, seeing this, channels Rieyasu into his hands and bats away the two dragons. Both ninjas were shocked. "What kind of monster are you?" they said. Naruto merely looks at them. "Monster? Nonsense. I am just merely a man who came here today with skills you could not hope to match in this lifetime or the next." Naruto quickly appears behind him and slashes one man with a fatal blow while he points his finger to the other one. Hado number 4, by Irukai, the lighting beam shot at his heart, killing him instantly. Looking forward, he sees a man that looked to be like a child, light gray hair, pink pupilless eyes, and what seems to be a stitch-like scar running from under his left eye all the way down his cheek. Yagura, taking notice of the man in front of him, speaks. "Who are you?" Naruto looks at him. "I am the man that will be ending this war." "You are Yagura the Mizukage, I presume?" Yagura nods. "It will be foolish to think you will end this war. You will die here." Naruto only gives a slight smirk. "I believe it would be foolish for you to think you will win when I'm already behind you." Yagura goes wide-eyed and feels a slash on arm. Shouting in pain, he jumps back and holds his arm. Naruto stands there, flicking the blood of his blade. He holds out his sword for Yagura to see and says, "Tell me, Mizukage, what do you think of my sword?" Yagura eyes him curiously. "It looks like a regular sword to me." "Why do you ask?" Naruto only sighs. "No reason. This sword is a very beautiful one, if I do say so myself. It holds such destructive power in such a simple form." Yagura getting a little impatient. "Enough small talk, it's time to fight." Yagura runs through 40 hand signs before saying Suiton, Soryuden no Jutsu, water release, water dragon bullet technique, shooting out a dragon made of water at Naruto. Naruto sighs. "This again, huh?" Naruto quickly shunpas out of the way. "You will have to do better than that for your justice to reach me. But by your display I doubt you will obtain the necessary speed. Launch one at me again. Let's see if it works the second time." Yagura getting a little more angry at his constant mocking, dashes towards him, engaging him in taijutsu. Yagura jumps to give him a roundhouse kick, only for Naruto to grab it. Yagura then back flips away and comes back with a barrage of punches. Naruto simply evades with ease. Yagura ends up finally giving him a hook to his face, but realizes Naruto's body gets fuzzy and fades. Squelch! Yagura attains another slash on his arm. Looking back, he sees Naruto. How is he this fast? This is impossible. Yagura thought. Seeing the surprised look on his face, Naruto speaks up clearly. "You will need to do better than that. But the question is, can you?" Yagura finally snaps. "You will regret ever saying that." Yagura jumps back and starts to power up. Seeing this, Naruto raises his eyebrows. He then hears Akane speak. "Naruto-kun, I want you to be careful. Since he is a Jinchuriki, he has something called initial forms. He can go into a partial form of what his demon looks like, or he can take it a level higher and go into a full form, fully transforming into his tailed beast demon. Do not take him lightly." Naruto nods. A tail then sprouts from Yagura along with a dark cloak of chakra. His voice a little more demonic. "You will die now," he says, charging at him much more faster than last time. Yagura at this time decides to unleash even more punches and kicks. Surprised at how he is still too slow, he jumps back. Naruto forms hand seals, this time Katon, Gokakyu no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball technique. A huge fireball at least 3 times bigger than him shoots out at him with such speed.
Yagura seeing this knew he couldn't dodge Suiton. Suijin Hiki, water release, water encampment wall. A huge wall of water raises in front of Yagura cancelling out his fireball.
Naruto seeing how he has temporarily blinded Shuunpa's behind him and slashes his arm in the air horizontally saying Hado number 54, Heian, abolishing flames, a purple spiritual blast comes out of hand and incinerates Yagura. Yagura barely had enough time to dodge as it hit him and lit him on fire. With Mei. After Mei finished fighting the remaining batch of shinobi on the battlefield, she sped forward to catch the fight between Naruto and Yagura. She was very surprised to see his skills. He was able to cut Yagura with ease even in his partial transformed state with just speed alone. Not only that, but he was infuriating him. He was using moves that required no hand signs. It was a sight to behold for the Mei and the squad she was with.
Amazing.
To be able to keep up with Yagura with such ease, said Ao.
Did you see that move he pulled? He literally almost incinerated Yagura?
Man, I'm glad he's on our side, one rebel said.
Mei stood there in admiration and fear. Don't lose Naruto-kun.
You promised, Mei thought.
Chojuro snapped her out of attention. Mei-sama, shouldn't we be there helping Naruto-san?
Mei shakes her head. No, he told me to not interfere with his match. So I will respect his wishes as well. You all should. Ao, Chojuro, and the rebels reluctantly nod, witnessing one of the greatest battles they have ever seen.
Back to Naruto.
Yagura was panting heavily now. To make it worse, he was bleeding with some of his clothes tattered. I can't keep with him. I think it's about time I fully transformed, Yagura thought.
Naruto stood there unfazed.
Tell me, Yagura-san, is this how you pictured this war to turn out? You barely standing and me without a scratch? If so, then this war was a foolish thought to begin with if it ultimately ended in your demise. That was the last straw for Yagura. That is it, you will defiantly die now. Yagura, channeling even more chakra, begins to transform even further.
Naruto-kun.
He is going in full-tailed transformation. Be really careful as he 5 times stronger than before.
Naruto merely nods. Do not worry, aka Chan. Even in his all-out form, he is still no match for me.
Turning his gaze to Yagura, he finally sees him transforming into a huge turtle-like creature, with a crab-like shell and the 3 of its tails behind him.
Roar. You will die now.
Yagura in full state started to form what looks like to be a water ball of huge proportions. Yagura shoots one out at Naruto. Naruto knew it would be time to take him seriously. Naruto ends up dodging, but only to find more water balls being shot at him. If that is all you can do in your new form, Yagura-san, then I am sadly disappointed. Suddenly the water's ball stopped for him to find Yagura wrapped up in a ball rolling towards him at fast speed. Naruto stood his ground, holding his hand out and channels a large amount of Ieyasu in his hand. Yagura comes rolling at him. Yagura feels he's close until out of nowhere he stops. Peeking from his shell, he sees Naruto has stopped him with his bare hands. Impossible, no mere human should be able to stop that. Yagura then rolls back and unfolds himself.
Naruto smirks.
Ah yes, a mere human cannot stop what you just did. That most clearly mean I am something above a human. Yagura takes this time to think.
Okay, this isn't going anywhere.
Amazing though he can keep up with me fully transformed. I will give it one last shot to destroy him. He shouldn't be able to dodge or block this. Yagura makes 3 clones of himself. The 3 clones form into a ball, rapidly chagrin Naruto.
The main Yagura opens his mouth and starts to form a dark ball. Akane sees this. Naruto-kun, end it now.
Don't let him fire off that ball, you will die. It's the most powerful just a Jinchuriki can have. Upon hearing this, Naruto tries to Shuunpa forward only to be stopped by one of the clones. With Mei. Mei and her squad now had their jaws dropped at what they just witnessed. He stopped one of Yagura's attacks with just his hand. Everyone was thinking, what type of power is he displaying? Mei suddenly sees Yagura from clones of himself.
Turning her eyes to the original Yagura, she sees him form a black ball. Mei's eyes suddenly widens. Yagura is forming his tailed beast ball. Quickly, we have to stop him. Ao interrupts. Wait, Mei-sama, I thought you said he doesn't want us to interfere. Mei looks at him with a fierce gaze. Screw what he said. He's going to die. With that said, Mei and her squad rushed towards Naruto. Damn it, don't die Naruto-kun, Mei thought. Back to Naruto. Yagura finally was ready to fire his tailed beast ball. Aiming at Naruto, his clones dispel. Yagura then fires his tailed beast ball at Naruto. The force of his ball that he fired was creating shock waves in the air, while the ground started to crack. Yagura knew there was no way for him to dodge since his clones keep him occupied. Turning around, Naruto sees the ball incoming. Inches before it reaches him, Mei and Akane sees this. No, Naruto-kun! They both yelled. The ball came at Naruto and blasted him. His body was inside the ball. An explosion resulted. Boom! Mei and the squads had to shut her eyes from such the explosion. Seconds later, they see Naruto on the ground in a huge crater, not breathing. Everything was silent. Mei had tears in her eyes. Damn it, Naruto-kun, you promised you would come back to me. Why? Looking down at his face, she sees him motionless, but then hears his voice. In the mindscape. Akane was crying her eyes out, trying to heal Naruto. God damn it, Naruto-kun, I told you to be careful. As she was healing him, she realizes that it's not working. Why the hell isn't working? She said frantically. Seconds later, she hears his voice as well. Shatter, Kyoka Suagestu, shatter, Kyoka Suagestu, a voice whispered. At that moment, Naruto's body that was on the ground shattered like glass. Mei sat there confused at what just happened. His body disappeared only for her to find him standing in front of Yagura. Yagura thought he was dead, but was stunned to find him in front of him. At an instant, Naruto stabs his sword into Yagura's eye. Erg! Yells Yagura, only for him to be slowly reduced back to his original human form. Yagura laid on the ground holding his eye. I killed you. I saw my tailed beast ball destroy you. Why are you alive? Naruto looks at him with smirk. Tell me, Yagura-san, what made you think that was even me that was in that ball in the first place? Yagura was now mind blown. There is no way that was a Genjutsu, I would have seen through it. So how? Naruto for a moment didn't respond. I'm sorry, Yagura-san, but that will have to remain a mystery. He said. Naruto was about to bring his sword down to end his life until Yagura barely dodged it. Backing up, Yagura runs toward him, pouring in chakra in his feet to making him move faster than before with a kunai in hand. Yagura succeeds in stabbing Naruto in the heart. Yagura laughs menacingly until he sees Naruto smirk. Shatter, Kyoka Suagestu. The figure that Yagura stabbed now shattered into pieces again. Yagura didn't know what happened until he felt some on his body. Looking at it, he sees blood. Turning around, he sees Naruto sheathing his sword. Click. Naruto sliced him in a fatal spot. Yagura slowly slumped down, knowing he was at his end. Knowing he was finished, Naruto was about to turn away, until he hears Yagura say something. Thank you. Naruto stopped his movement and raised his eyebrows. Thank you? For what, Yagura-san? Yagura shows him a smile while blood poured out of his mouth. For releasing me from the Genjutsu someone put on me. But may I have the name of the person who defeated me? Yagura says, slowly choking on his blood. Naruto Namikaze. Know that you died a warrior's death. Mizukage. Yagura nods. Namikaze. Well, no wonder. Please tell Mei that she should take the title as Mizukage. She deserves it. Naruto only nods. Yagura laid there with a smile, eventually closing his eyes. Finished, Naruto walks over to Mei, who was emotionless. Mei didn't know what to feel. She could have sworn she saw him die, but here he is walking to her. Naruto eventually reached her. Mei-chan. What did I tell you? You were not supposed to be where Yagura and I were fighting. Mei stood there with a blank expression. And Naruto-kun? Naruto only nods. Mei instantly lunges at him, crying hard. Naruto stumbles back a few steps, almost losing balance. Naruto just smiles as she cries into his shirt. Instantly Mei picks her head up and starts hitting Naruto in the chest with her fist as she is still in his arms. You scared me half to death, Naruto-kun. What the hell were you thinking? Mei shouted. Naruto only chuckles, unaffected by her hits. Come on, Mei-chan, it wasn't that bad, he says. Mei stops and looks at him. Not that bad, huh? She takes a deep breath in and shouts, Yotan, lava globs. Naruto instantly goes wide-eyed and Shuunpa's nearly dodging the lava. Mei spat at him. Ah, come on, Mei-chan, why do you have got be like that? I said I'm fine, Naruto says as he continues to dodge. Unrelenting with the lava, Naruto finally has enough. Okay, Mei-chan, stop, he said as he Shuunpa's behind her and holds her firmly. A few seconds of struggling, she finally relaxes into his embrace. He puts his chin on top of her shoulder and kisses her collarbone, while Mei at this time was relishing the lovely sensations he was giving her. I am sorry I worried you, Mei-chan. I promise I won't do it again, he said, planting one last kiss. Mei turns around, still in his arms. All right, fine, you are forgiven. Only one condition though, Mei says. Okay, Mei-chan, what is it? Mei wraps her arms around his neck and kisses him deeply. You kiss me like that at one point on our date. Mei smiles at him. Naruto smiles as well and leans in close to her ear and says huskily, oh Mei-chan, I might do more than just kiss you like that if our date goes right, Naruto says, nibbling on her ear before retreating. Mei slightly blushes at his implication. So Mei-chan, now that you are done spitting lava at me, what do you say we head to your new village as the Mizukage? After all Yagura said you deserved it. Mei looks at him in shock. Before Naruto continued. It seems someone put a really strong genjutsu on him. He was someone's puppet this whole time. I believe none of this would have happened if it were not for that. Although this someone must be powerful to place such a genjutsu on a man to where he is driven to kill people. Mei only nods, absorbing the information. Well, it looks like I have a job to do. Ayo, Chojuro and the rest of you go back to base camp and tell them it's over. And that it's time to return home. They all nod before speeding off back to camp. Somewhere in the elemental nation. A man with a mask instantly dazes off and grabs his head. Another tall man with purple eyes walks to him. Leader-sama, are you okay? The man with the mask nods. It seems Yagura has passed away. The man with purple eyes raises his eyebrows. Passed away? Well, this certainly was unexpected. The man with the mask nods. It much very is. It's alright though. We will continue with our plan. With that, both individuals disappeared into the shadows. 2 days later. After the war was ended, many of the rebels packed up and headed back to Kiri. Upon arriving, they were greeted with many of the people they haven't seen in a while. Many families were reunited, and no more blood was to be shed. Most of the ninjas that remained in the village and were loyal to Yagura were given a second chance, as well as they pledged new loyalty to the Mizukage. Mei arrived in the village and took the time to address them after repairs were made. Of course, with the help of Naruto Kage Bunshin, the job get done very fast. Many of the Kiri shinobi and civilians were now standing in front of the Hokage Tower, waiting for Mei to speak. Mei began. As you know, the war was ended 2 days. After almost a year of fighting, the bloodshed has finally ended. No more will Yagura be here to do harm. Although I will tell you, he was not himself at the time. Everyone in the crown whispered and were wondering why he wasn't himself and why Mei was defending him. We have learned from Yagura himself before his death that someone was controlling him from the shadows. We don't know who it is though. But what I can tell you is that we will live in peace now. We will rebuild our village and we will once again be on par with the other hidden villages. I stand by you today to take the seat of the Godame Mizukage. She says, putting the hat on. And as such, I have already secured an alliance with village of Konoha.
I promise as long as I am the Mizukage of this village, I will fight for this village, and I will treat all of you in this village with love." At this many people roared in applause and cheer. Many seemed to be happy that she was the Mizukage. Many people believed she deserved it since she was the one leading the rebel forces, and did a good job of it. May raises her hand to stop the noise to continue. "But you should all know that there was a man here that was the deciding factor in us ending the war. He took out at least half of Yagura's shinobi, and Yagura himself, even when he went into his full Jinchuriki form. The man you should be thanking is right here," Mei says, motioning Naruto to step forward. Naruto steps forward with his hands in his pocket. Many of the shinobi were looking at him in fear and respect that this man almost single-handedly take down Yagura and his army. Many of the kunoichi were thinking about how handsome he looked, and how they wanted to bag him as soon as this was over. Stepping forward he spoke. "As I do take credit for defeating Yagura, none of this could have happened without your new Mizukage. She led the rebel team in hopes of ending such pointless bloodshed. A task she accomplished herself along with the rebels. I was just an ally. I know she will lead this village into prosperity." Many of the ninjas shouted and praised her again. Moving back beside Mei, Mei takes the spotlight again. "And as for the defeat of Yagura, and since we are nearing our rebuilding of this village, we will hold a celebration for tonight. Everyone will enjoy themselves. This is an order to all ninjas and kunoichi alike, as this is my first order of Mizukage." Mei walked away from the crowd as they cheered, knowing that their Mizukage will be different this time around. Mizukage office. Mei went into her office and began changing many things. She looked out the window of her village thinking of how things will change. Sitting down, she looked around the room. Interrupting her thoughts, a knock was heard. Come in. Opening the door revealed Ao, Chojuro and Naruto. Spotting Naruto, she instantly perks up and smiles at him. Turning her attention to the other two. "Ao, Chojuro, I am not in need of your service right now. Go and prepare yourself for the celebration. You guys need a break." Chojuro shyly nods and begins to walk out. Ao then speaks. "As you wish, Mizukage-sama. Finally you became Mizukage. Your age is just ABO." Ao was suddenly interrupted. "Ao, shut up about my age or I will kill you," Mei said, smiling. Ao quickly shuts up. "Why me?" he thought before walking out, leaving her and Naruto in the room. Hearing the door click, she motions Naruto with her finger to come near her. Coming close, Naruto got down on one knee with his head down. "Yes, Mizukage-sama. What is it you want with me?" he said jokingly. Mei slaps his head playfully. "Get up, Naruto-kun. You aren't even a ninja of this village." Naruto slightly chuckles before he sees Mei jumping on him, crossing her legs over his waist while kissing him deeply with her tongue. Naruto, not wanting to upset her actions, began kissing deeply as well. After a few minutes of intense kissing, he moves back. "Well, Mei-chan, what would the people think if they saw their Mizukage acting like a hormone-filled teenager making out with a man such as me?" Mei smiles. "Don't really care, Naruto-kun. In plus only you will see this side of me." Naruto pecks her on the forehead. "Good, I like this side of you." Mei unwraps her legs off of him and stands in front of him. "You know you promised me a date, Naruto-kun. And I believe the best time to do that would be tonight." Naruto smiles and asks. "Don't you want to celebrate though with your fellow shinobi?" he asks curiously. Mei only shakes her head. "We will have plenty to celebrate. I just want to be with you tonight," is all Mei says honestly. Naruto can hear the sincerity in her voice. He walks up to her and holds her in his arms. "Good, because I would lovely to spend a lovely night with the beautiful Mizukage herself." Mei buries her head into his chest. Looking up and around, she notices that the celebrations have already started to begin. Turning her gaze up into his eyes. "Naruto-kun, let me wash my face and touch up before we go out." Naruto nods his head and says, "You don't need to do that, Mei-chan. You already look beautiful enough." Mei shakes her head. "Can't, Naruto-kun. It's a girl thing." Naruto laughs. "Okay, Mei-chan, I'll be here in the office. Wait for you." With a nod she leaves to get ready. 20 minutes later, A/in
Because girls take so long to get ready, straight face haha. No for real though.
Mei comes into her office looking the same except the touch-ups on her face.
Naruto stood up and couldn't help but admire her.
She looked like a goddess in his eyes. He knew men would kill to be in this position he was in.
A date with the beautiful Mizukage. Noticing his staring, Mei smirks. Are you going to stand there all day and check me out, or are you going to take me on a date already? Naruto snaps out of his staring and smiles.
Sorry Mei-chan, it's not every day you see a goddess in living flesh. Mei slightly blushes at the word goddess. Naruto walks up to her and holds out his arm, and she gladly hooks hers into it, walking out of the office.
Mindscape. Well, Casanova is out tonight again, Akane says. Kyoka giggles. I believe we found another girl to add to Naruto-kun's harem. Akane laughs.
He keeps playing Casanova, and he might have the most girls in a harem in human history. Akane and Kyoka share a laugh. Well, it's comforting knowing they actually might like him for him, and that they aren't weak either. Akane nods her head before speaking with a grin.
So Kyoka-chan, how many times are you going to have sex with him the next time you're out? Kyoka blushes deep red while Akane just laughs at her shyness, knowing she isn't all that shy in bed.
On the streets, Naruto and Mei started out with hooked arms. It eventually led to him holding her hand.
Walking down the streets, many of the men became depressed at such the sight.
It was pretty clear that the beautiful Mizukage is off the market. The women were also sad-ridden, but also surprisingly shot glares at Mei for taking such a wonderful man. Naruto and Mei walked together close hand in hand. With a happy sigh she looks up at Naruto, who seems to have a serene look on his face. It amazed her how his facial features would change. He looked very intimidating in battle, but then he was warm and peaceful the next.
Noticing Mei look at him, he gives her a real smile, making Mei's heart skip a little. Finally reaching their destination, he lets her step in first.
The place they went to was a small bar that served food. Taking one of the booths, they both sit down. A few seconds later, a very pretty girl came up to take their order. Taking a look at what's on the menu, he says,
Mei-chan, why don't you order first?
Naruto says.
Mei nods and looks up to the waitress.
I would like one miso ramen please. The waitress writes it down uninterested for some reason. Taking her gaze and putting it on Naruto, the waitress puts on a flirty smile.
Hey handsome, what would you like to get?
Naruto smiles at her. Yes, I would like to get the same as Mei-chan as well. The waitress nods with a smile. Alright handsome, those dishes will be up in just a moment.
Would you like anything to drink?
Naruto just says.
Yes, water will be fine. Mei-chan, what about you?
Naruto said, turning his gaze to Mei, who looked somewhat annoyed. Yes, I will take water as well, Mei says to the waitress, who didn't bother to look at her.
Okay, you sure, she says before walking, winking at Naruto. Naruto only lightly laughs. The waitress come back with 2 tall glasses of water. Naruto takes a first sip and puts it down and looks at Mei. Mei-chan, what's wrong?
Mei sat there with a scowl the whole time. This tramp is flirting with my Naruto-kun.
Doesn't she know that I am the Mizukage? I run this village? Mei-chan? Naruto says for the second time.
Breaking her out of her thoughts, she notices his somewhat worried expression and smiles.
Oh, nothing, Naruto-kun. Just thinking about my new job. Naruto smiles. So Mei-chan, how does it feel to have this war finally over? Mei responds, well, I am very glad this is all over.
Now as a nation and village we can finally rebuild and live peacefully. Naruto nods with a smile.
Answer me this, Naruto-kun. How were you able to shatter into glass like that? I honestly believed you died. Naruto smiles at her.
Well, for now I can't go into elaboration about it yet, but I will tell you that Kyoka-chan has a special ability that allows me to in a way control people. Mei only nods curiously, but not wanting to push the subject further, sensing how hesitant he is in answering.
After a couple minutes getting to know each other more, their food finally came. Ita de Kamasa, they both said.
After taking a few sips of the soup, Naruto couldn't help but stare at how really beautiful she is. Now noticing his staring, she looks up at him with a couple of noodles still in her mouth. She slowly sucks them up. What, Naruto-kun? Naruto lightly chuckles. That was very cute. Mei smiles at how he makes her feel so pretty about herself. After finishing the meal, the lovely waitress comes back with their bill. Here you go, cutie. And come back anytime. It sure does get lonely here, she says, dropping the paper. But she inches closer to his ear. I also left a little something extra, if you ever want to get together, the waitress says, walking away slowly, lingering her finger on her shoulder. Picking up the bill, Naruto puts some money down and looks at the other piece of paper. Seeing it, he smirks. Mei, on the other hand, slowly became furious at the blatant flirting since they are on a date. Looking at Naruto, she sees him smirking. What does the paper say, Naruto-kun? Mei said in an irritated voice. Look at it yourself, Mei-chan, Naruto says, giving her the paper. Mei takes it and looks at it, narrowing her eyes. So the little hussy left her phone number for you. Humph, she grunts, throwing it back at him. Naruto, still smirking, goes to grab until it lights on fire. Looking up, he looks at Mei with tiny bits of smoke coming out of her mouth. Mei-chan, now why did you have to do that? He says teasingly. Get up, Naruto. We're leaving. Noticing she didn't add the affectionate to his name, his gaze became serious. Walking out of the bar, Naruto steps in front of her. Mei-chan, please tell what is wrong. Mei sighs. Nothing, Naruto, let's just go and enjoy the celebration. Mei begins to walk past him until she feels two strong arms bring her into a warm chest. Looking up, she sees Naruto looking at her. Mei-chan, I know you're jealous of that waiter. But my question is why? Mei goes slightly wide-eyed before retorting, I am not jealous of her, Naruto. Mei was about to speak again until she was cut off with a kiss to her lips. The kiss felt very passionate for Mei. Separating, she stayed quiet, relishing in the feel of the kiss she just received, and waited for what Naruto had to say. Mei-chan, you are the Mizukage, the strongest in this village. Not only that, but not many women can match your beauty. She is just an attractive waitress looking for a good time. You, on the other hand, took the time to know me and care for me. Do you know what separates you from her? Mei only shakes her head. He leans in close to her ear. I say, older women have more experience in certain situations, don't you think? Naruto says huskily. Mei lightly blushes and plays along, wrapping her arms around him. Do they now? And what type of situations do you mean? Mei whispers back seductively. Naruto smirks and puts his forehead to hers and rests both of his hands just barely above her lower back, slightly touching her plump butt in her dress. Well, how about we go somewhere and I'll show you, Mei-chan, Naruto whispers. Mei nods excitedly and grabs Naruto, shin-shinning to her office. Mindscape. Hey Kyoka-chan, he's going to have sex with Mei. Get in here, Akane says. Kyoka slowly saunters her way towards Akane with a blush. Don't you think that is invasion of his privacy, aka-chan? Akane only laughs. Nah, I don't think he even minds. And plus this will allow me to see what kind of positions I can get him in the next time. Kyoka only blushes. Kyoka-chan, don't you want to have sex with him again? I mean, it looked like you enjoyed it last time, Akane says. Kyoka blushes even more. Of course I do. I felt so loved. I'm just trying to find the right time. Akane giggles. Same here, Kyoka-chan, same here. Mei's office. Lemon time. Naruto and Mei arrive in the center of her office. Mei grabs a hold of Naruto's face and starts kissing him furiously. Naruto, not wanting to disappoint, kisses her back with much energy. Naruto then proceeds to pick her up. Mei instinctively wraps her legs around him. Naruto moves and pushes Mei against a wall. Mei, liking the dominance, moans into the kiss. Hearing this inspires Naruto to want to hear it more. He slowly licks her top and bottom lip, begging for some entrance. Mei decides to tease him and opens up her mouth just a little, barely feeling her tongue with his when he tries to put his inside. Mei-chan. Stop teasing me like that, Naruto whispers. Mei finally lets him in. Both of them start to experience a wonderful euphoria in their bodies. Exploring each other's mouth for the first time, Naruto can taste her mouth, which sort of tasted like strawberries. Mei on the other hand still tasted a little bit of the miso, but still enjoyed it nonetheless. After several minutes of exploring, they parted lips to breath. Mei-chan, you look so beautiful tonight. If we continue, I won't be able to control myself. Mei only gives him a quick, deep kiss. Naruto-kun, I don't want you to stop. This feeling right now, it feels so right. I think I'm falling for you, Naruto-kun. That battle with Yugura, I felt as if someone took a chunk of me away when I saw you there lifeless. Mei says, starting to tear up. Naruto just kisses her and her tears. Mei-chan, I think I'm falling for you too. You're strong, kind, cheerful, and very beautiful. I find peace like in you like I do with Aka-chan and Kyoka-chan. Mei smiles at him brightly. And starts to grind on his bulge a little. Well, what are you waiting for, Naruto-kun? Naruto grins, still holding her. He bring her to closet thing near him. Mei-chan, Naruto says, nibbling on her ear. I think it's time we christen the Mizukage desk, don't you think? Mei instantly became more turned on. Oh, I do believe so, Naruto-kun. The induction as Mizukage wasn't enough. Naruto clears everything off the desk, well, more like throw everything off the desk and lays her down. He leans down and takes her in yet another passionate kiss. Breaking off the kiss, he gently trails kisses down her neck, then to her ample chest. Mei biting back moans, Naruto-kun, suck on them please. Naruto smirks. As you wish, Mizukage-sama. Mei lets her dress drop, exposing her chest and stomach. Naruto, still trailing kisses, makes his way down to one of her breast. Kissing her hardened nipples, he breathes on it, giving her heat, which only makes her moan. Naruto begins to lightly work his tongue on one nipple, while his other hand massages the other one. Mei now was feeling great, no longer could she stifle her moans. Oh, Naruto-kun. Please keep going. Naruto only increases the intensity by sucking on her nipple and pinching and rubbing the other one harder. That's it, Naruto-kun. Play with my tits. You know, want to. Still licking one nipple, he takes his hand off the other and trials it down her smooth stomach down to her hot spot. Mei kicks the dress off her. Naruto reaches down and can already feel she's wet. Tracing a finger around her pussy lips, Mei-chan. As the Mizukage, what would you like me to do? Mei, still panting, says. Oh, Naruto-kun, as Mizukage, I demand you to put it in me. Naruto smirks. As you wish, Mizukage-sama. Naruto then kisses her nipple one last time and unbuttons his pants, revealing his huge cock. Mei couldn't help but drool at how big it is. Naruto begins to tease her by rubbing his swollen head on her lips, getting his cock ready and wet. Why yes, oh god, Naruto-kun. Please put it in me now. I am begging you. Naruto slowly eases his way into her hot and warm entrance. Both moaning at the feeling. Fully inside her, Naruto begins to pump in and out of her slowly. Mei hating how he could tease her, and leave her wanting more, yells. Naruto-kun, stop teasing me and fuck me like crazy already. Naruto slightly laughs and pumps harder into her. Oh, Naruto-kun, I feel so complete with you cock inside me. Naruto moans and grunts as well. Goddamn, Mei-chan, your pussy is clinging onto me with dear life. Damn. Naruto, still pumping into her, grabs her breast and starts grabbing and massaging it with great need. Mei on the other hand has both of her hands gripping the sides of the desk, holding on to dear life from Naruto's thrusts. Feeling herself about to climax on Naruto-kun, honey, keep going. I'm almost there. Naruto instantly pulls out. Mei-chan, get on your feet and turn around. I want us to come together. Mei pouts at not getting to release, but she complies. Getting down, she turns around. Naruto bends her over the desk, leaving her with her elbows on the table. He rams his slick cock back into her, making her scream his name. One hand holding her shoulder and the other her hip, he thrusts even more viciously than before. Mei feels an even greater sensation than what she felt before. Holy shit, Naruto! You're hitting my G-spot. I'm so close to coming. Naruto closes his eyes, feeling the better sensation he felt before. Oh god, Mei-chan. Your pussy feels amazing. Both reaching their limits. Naruto was about to pull out until he feels Mei closer, her legs around tightly. Mei-chan, I'm coming. Naruto-kun, I'm coming too. Both slumped over the table. Mei speaks up, Naruto-kun, that was amazing. She said, slowly moving to adjust her position, which in turn makes Naruto hard again, still being inside her. Who says we were done, Mei-chan? Mei turns her head and smirks as well. Oh, you're insatiable, Naruto-kun. Naruto laughs. Well, it's not every day you get to be inside of a goddess's pussy. Mei blushes. Naruto-kun, lay on the table now. Naruto happily nods and lays down on his back. Mei gets on top of him. She slowly sits down, grabbing his hard penis, guiding it to her entrance. Ah yes, just like that, Mei says. Naruto just moans and gets even more turned on at the sight of her vagina, making his shaft disappear. That's it, Mei-chan. Ride this dick. Mei begins to ride him, grinding her vagina into his shaft. Ah yes, Naruto-kun, you love when I do this? She begins to bounce up and down, clearly making the slapping of skins louder. Ah fuck yeah, Mei-chan. I won't be able to hold long if you keep this up, Naruto says, moaning. Bucking his hips, meeting her thrusts, they being to meld into perfect rhythm. Mei couldn't take it anymore. She was nearing her climax. Naruto-kun. Don't stop, keep fucking me with your big cock. Naruto increases the pace of his bucking, finally feeling her walls tightening on him. Oh god, Mei-chan, your pussy has a vice grip on my dick. Both Naruto and Mei yell. Oh fuck yes, I'm coming, Naruto-kun. Come in me. Oh god, I'm coming, Mei-chan, take all my cum, Mei-chan. Both releasing their juices, slump down on each other yet again. Removing herself from him, she cuddles next to him on the desk, only for them to succumb to sleep. The next morning, the streets were silently being cleaned up from the celebration of finally being free of Yagura rain. People started bristling outside, finally looking forward to their new lives. Ao and Chojuro, on the other hand, were very worried. They woke up early in the morning to greet their new Mizukage and get her started on the job. But for some reason the door was locked and no one was answering. No matter how many times they knocked, no one would answer. Yua, Ao-san, do you think Mei-sama is still sleeping? Chojuro says. Ao shakes his head. Chojuro, it's noon, she should be up. You know what, that's it, I'm breaking the door down. Ao and Chojuro take a step back. Ao then lunges, kicking the door down. Upon entering, they saw a sight that not only scared them, but made them both suffer massive nosebleeds. In the middle of the room, on the Mizukage table, was Mei riding Naruto like her life depended on it. Mei, who didn't even hear the door being broken down, continued to ride him in pleasure, as Naruto sat there with his hands on her hips. Oh Naruto-kun, you feel so good in my pussy. Mei yelled. Ao and Chojuro were both blown back with massive nosebleeds. A few minutes and an intense orgasm later, Naruto and Mei noticed that the door was opened, along with Ao and Chojuro on the ground in a puddle of blood. Naruto only laughs. Mei then speaks up. You think they saw us, Naruto-kun? Naruto only laughs some more. No doubt. Although we could tell them it was a dream. Mei looks at him and smirks. Nah, I think it's fine. They're big boys anyways. They both shared a laugh, followed by a few kisses, and began to clean up. Several days later, Naruto and Mei spent every day together after their passion-filled date, getting to know one another. Over the few days he knew that he had fallen for Mei as well. He informed her of the C.A he is in, since he is the last member of the Namikaze name. Mei was okay with it as long as she got a share of him as well. Today they decided to spend time cuddling in the office. Sitting on one of the couches, Mei had her head on Naruto's chest with her eyes closed, enjoying the closeness, while Naruto was playing with her beautiful auburn hair. Naruto decided to break the silence. "Mei-chan, you know it is time for me to head back to Konoha, right?" Mei shoots her head up with a sad pout. "I know, but can't you stay at least one more day, Naruto-kun?" Naruto only shakes his head and kisses her on the lips. "I wish, Mei-chan, but at least we spent a good couple days together. And plus you will be around when the Chunin exams are held, right?" Mei only nods sadly. Seeing this, Naruto pushes her back onto the couch. He kisses her lips softly while trailing his hand near her vagina. Lightly moaning, she looks at Naruto with love. "I'll tell you what, since this is our last day together, why don't we do your favorite activity?" Naruto says. Mei smirks. "Oh, and what that be?" she says, rubbing his crotch through his fabric. Getting hard, he begins to rub it near her crotch area. "Oh, you know what I'm talking about," Naruto says, slowly increasing his pace. With a low moan, Mei took a thinking pose. "Okay, Naruto-kun, you convinced me," she smiled seductively. And with that they and another night of passionate love-making. The next day, Naruto was met at the gate by many of the shinobi, kunoichi, and civilians alike. Many looked at him as a hero for being the deciding factor that ended the war. Many of the higher-up shinobi respected him as well. All in all, the village loved him. Ao and Chojuro were also there. Although after their little intrusion on them, they both weren't able to look at Naruto or Mei in the eyes without having a slight nosebleed. Mei, on the other hand, stood there with mixed emotions. It was bittersweet for her. She felt very happy that she got to be so intimate with Naruto. Not only that, but she was able to get to know him as well, and she was able to find someone who liked her for her. She was upset as well, knowing that she won't be able to see him for a while. She felt like a part of her was missing already. She stepped out in front of the crowd, gazing at her lover's face. She slowly walked up to him and hugged him tight. Tears started to drop from her green eyes. Naruto feeling a damp spot on his chest. He lifts Mei's head and kisses her. "Mei-chan, you know I will try to visit you as much as I can. And plus we will see each other in a month." Mei only nods. Before Ao steps forward and speaks up. "Naruto-san, on the behalf of the fellow shinobis and kunoichis alike, we are very grateful for what you did for this village as whole. And know that Kirigakure is always open to you." Naruto nods. "Thank you, Ao-san. You all are strong. I know this village will flourish, especially with Mei-chan as the Mizukage." He looks back at Mei, who has been looking at him the whole time. "It's time for me to go, Mei-chan. Take care." Mei nods before remembering something. "Wait, Naruto-kun, take this scroll. It confirms our treaty with Konoha." Mei then pulls away to walk back. Suddenly she gets pulled the other way, and she feels a pair of warm lips on hers. Relaxing into the kiss, she deepens it by adding her tongue. Breaking apart, she hears 3 words that made her heart flutter. "I love you," Naruto says before vanishing from sight via Shuunpa. Mei stood there wide-eyed and repeated his words. "I love you. Naruto-kun loves me? I love you to Naruto-kun," Mei says in barely audible whisper. A day later, Naruto saw the gates of Konoha as he approached. It only took him 1 day to reach Konoha than the standard 2 to 3 days. His Shuunpa was defiantly fast, and could have gotten to Kirigakure faster. Nearing the gates, he didn't even bother to check in with the gate guards. He was very anxious to figure out where he can finally get his village started. Seeing the huge red tower, he slows down and comes to a walk. Hokage Tower. Upon entering, he checks with the secretary to see if the Hokage is busy. Getting the affirmative of him not being busy, he heads up the stairs. Knocking on the door, he hears enter. Slowly opening the door, he says his GG, furiously stamping away at paperwork. Looking up, Sarutobi sees who it is. He smiles genuinely at his adopted grandson. "So Naruto-kun, I take the mission was a success." Naruto only nods before throwing him a scroll.
Unwrapping it, Sarutobi nods his head with approval. Naruto then speaks up.
Okay Hokage Gigi, I finished the mission, now tell the name of this village.
Sarutobi nods. Tell me Naruto-kun, do you know any history about your mother's side? Naruto shakes his head. Sarutobi continues.
Well, your mom was not born here in Konoha.
She actually belonged to a village called Uzushi-Ogakure. A village known for Fuinjustu and longevity. Fuinsutu, which was the art of sealing.
Anything you could possibly imagine, they would be to do with a seal. Kushina came here because of the special chakra she contained, and that she was going to be the next Jinchuriki of the Kyubi no Yoko. At this, Naruto went wide-eyed. He did not know that his own mother was the previous host of Akane. He knew he had to ask her about that later.
Naruto then asks. Gigi, what happened to Uzushi-Ogakure?
Sarutobi sighed very sadly, and was about to continue until in comes a little pug with a Konoha Hitaiate. The little pug jumps on the table. Kakashi has a message for you, the pug says in a gruff voice, handing him a scroll.
Naruto although looked puzzled at the dog, wondering how it talked. Reading it, Sarutobi sighs. Okay, thanks Pakin.
Go back and tell him I'm sending someone, with a nod. Pakin runs off.
Sarutobi now looks at Naruto.
Naruto-kun, I know you just came back from a mission, but I would really appreciate if you can take this one. Naruto only sighs.
What is the mission, old man?
But you better tell more about Uzushi-Ogakure when I get back.
Sarutobi smiles. I will, Naruto-kun.
Well, it seems Team 7 was on AC rank turned a rank mission to escort a bridge builder named Tazuna. They not only encountered two Chunin missing nins, but it seems they have encountered an A rank missing nin by the name of Zabuza Momoichi, former 7 ninja swordsman of the mist.
Team 8 is there as well as a joint mission, but it seems Kurenai and Kakashi are holding him off and having trouble. Naruto absorbs the information giving to him.
He wanted to stay here for a little bit. But this was his GG, and this might be a chance to test someone who knows how to handle a sword.
Alright GG.
I'll go.
Where am I going?
Sarutobi replies, you will be going to Wave Country.
Here is a map. Naruto nods and walks out of the Hokage Tower. Looking at the map, he quickly shuinpas out of Konoha.
With Team 7 and 8. Kakashi knew that agreeing to continue on with this mission would be, in the words of Shikamaru, troublesome. Not only he had to fight to missing nins, but now he has to fight against a member of the famed 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist.
Kakashi and Kurenai told their students to guard Tazuna.
At first they were all afraid of the mist he produced, followed by an enormous amount of killing intent courtesy of Zabuza. Sasuke was even close to stabbing himself with a kunai. Although his speech was able to calm him down.
So where do we find Kakashi now?
Well, we can find him inside a water prison just held by Zabuza. While a clone of Zabuza is fighting Kurenai.
Man, this water prison Justu is unbreakable.
Only if someone were able to attack the original Zabuza.
But Kurenai is fighting a clone, while the students are protecting the builder.
Man, I hope help comes soon.
Kakashi thought. Kurenai POV. Damn, none of my Jinjusta techniques seem to be working. And I'm running low on chakra too. Damn it. Kurenai once again engages Zabuza in Taijusta, hoping to at least land a hit. Kurenai jumped and threw a roundhouse only for Zabuza to dodge it and come with an upward slice, nicking her side. Kurenai jumps back and winces in pain.
As beautiful as you are, the Jinjusta mistress of Konoha, I have to kill you.
Goodbye.
Zabuza lunges at Kurenai too fast for her eyes to comprehend. As a last defense, she holds up a kunai only for her to be knocked back into a tree. Half-lidded, she sees Zabuza approaching her. Well, I guess this it. Again.
Kami, why do I always end up in these situations?
My only regret is that I didn't get to find a man.
Or go on a date with Naruto-kun.
She thought. Closing her eyes. She slowly opens them again to find a tall blonde man standing in front of her.
Is that Naruto-kun? He would end up saving me again. My hero Kurenai thought, smiling before passing out due to energy exhaustion. Naruto POV. Shunpoing through the forest, Naruto sees footprints. He stops to look at them.
Well, it seems these are fresh. They must be up ahead, Naruto thought.
Speeding further into the forest, he senses multiple energies. Coming to a clearing, he hops on a branch and stays hidden.
Well, this is Team 7 and 8.
Naruto said. Looking around, he sees Sasuke, Sakura, and Sai guarding an old man. Next to them as well, he sees Hinata, Shino, and Kiba. Looking further, he sees a man with gray hair and a bubble.
Finding his target, he sees a man with a huge sword slowly walking towards a woman.
Noticing who it is, he quickly Shuinpas in the middle of them. Normal POV.
Zabuza came close to Kurenai until another person jumped in front of him.
Looking at him, all he can tell was he was a tall blonde man with a sword.
So who are you and why are you here?
Zabuza asked. Naruto gently placed his palm on the hilt of his sword.
My name is none of your concern for now. I was sent on a mission to back up the man you're holding in Kurenai-chan.
Zabuza smirks under his mask. Naruto took this time to examine him.
He was tall and noticeably muscular.
Along with short spiky black hair, brown eyes, and small eyebrows.
He wore bandages like a mask over the bottom half of his face with his hitayate sideways to his head. He also had huge sword in his hand.
Are you any good with that sword? Zabuza says. Naruto remains silent.
Well, more ninjas for me to kill.
That's fine.
Zabuza said, only for him to lunge at him with sword.
Zabuza an inch away swings his sword knowing he is finished, but Zabuza witnessed something that shocked him to his core.
Naruto stood there with one hand in his pocket and the one of his fingers with his other hand blocking his sword.
Naruto smirks.
Well, you surely do know how to swing a sword.
Above average skill at best, Zabuza Momoichi.
Well, let me show you the difference in our skill. At instant, Naruto Shuinpas behind him and draws his sword with his other hand, slicing Zabuza's body. It all happened too fast for Zabuza. He didn't even registered what happened.
The water clone suddenly disappeared.
The original Zabuza was in shock at how quick he moved. It was then he felt liquid rolling down his arm.
Looking down, he sees blood.
Shocked, he hears Naruto speak.
Zabuza-san.
Look at where I struck you.
Zabuza looks at his arm and instantly goes wide-eyed. Naruto, seeing this, continues.
Yes, you see, I was an inch away from slicing an artery.
My precision is precise.
So that was to instill fear.
Tell me, Zabuza-san, do you fear me now knowing I have the speed and precision to end your life at an instant? Zabuza only looks at him silently, still in shock. Turning slightly, Naruto sees his reaction.
I see it has worked. Although I am curious how you fare with such a big sword.
Would you mind appeasing my curiosity?
With the genin.
Shino and Kiba sat there with their jaws opened. Shino, did you see that?
Kakashi-sensei and Kurenai-sensei had such trouble fighting him, but this guy had no problem.
Who is he? Kiba says. Shino adjusts his glasses. I believe he is Naruto Namake's.
He was in our class on graduating day.
You don't remember the skills he showcased at the graduation tests? Kiba looks at him and yells, that's this guy. Shino nods. Hinata decided to butt in. Yes, Naruto-kun is very strong.
I haven't seen him fight a real opponent, but I didn't know he was this strong too, Hinata said, blushing at how manly he looked in battle.
Sakura and Sai stood surprised as well.
Sasuke, on the other hand, was fuming. First he takes my mom, now he takes down an A-class missing nin.
How did he get this much power?
It must be his sword. I will demand it from him when it's over, Sasuke thought.
Look at this baka trying to upstage my Sasuke-kun.
I bet Sasuke-kun could have defeated him if he didn't have to come and interrupt the match, Sakura thought.
Back to Naruto and Zabuza. Shit, I didn't even see him move.
Not only that, but he's right. He could have killed me instantly. But why am I still alive? It just seems he's looking for a good fight though. From his swordsmanship skills it seems his skills dwarf any of the members in the 7 ninja swordsmen of the mist. Damn, I'm bleeding too heavily, I will surely die if I continue, Zabuza thought. I suggest you let Kakashi-san go before I end your miserable existence. Naruto says. Zabuza was about to say something until he felt tiny needles prick his neck. Zabuza drops and releases the water prison just to Kakashi's in. Looking at Zabuza's body they see a figure with a mask. Yes, thank you for weakening him. I have been searching for him for a while. I am Hunter Neen. He is my bounty now, the masked person said before disappearing with the body. With them gone, Naruto quickly shunpas towards Kurenai checking her vitals. Teammate ran towards their sensei. Naruto-kun, is Kurenai-sensei alright? Hinata said. Naruto looks at her and smiles, causing her to blush. Yes, she is Hinata-chan, aside from her cut she just passed out is all. Naruto then performs a simple healing Kido on her, covering the cut. He looks towards Kiba and Shino. Hey man, thank for saving our sensei. Kiba says as Shino nods as well. It was no problem, Kurenai-chan is a good friend of mine. He begins to lift Kurenai in his arm bridal style, and walks over to Kakashi and his team. Kakashi-san, Naruto says. Kakashi, I smiles. Naruto then speaks. GG has informed me of your situation. I am here as your backup. Kakashi nods. I guessed so, considering your elite Genin status. Sasuke starts to walk over to Naruto. Hey Dobe. Give me your sword. Naruto turns his gaze to him while the others, minus Sakura, face faulted at the stupidity. You call me a dobe yet you did nothing to help your sensei. Very logical, Sasuke-kun. Tell me, how is your mom? Naruto said while others, even Kakashi, couldn't help but snicker at his jab. Sasuke's eyes were now fuming. He was about to retort until Kakashi decided to change the subject. Well, now that our little battle has ended, let's head to your house at Tazuna? Kakashi says, looking at Tazuna, who was still looking at awe at Naruto. Yeah, let's go. They began to walk with Tazuna, while Sasuke shot a glare at Naruto, along with Sakura joining her. Sasuke-kun. Upon walking he was asked questions by the other Genin, mainly about why he was so strong at only their age. Kurenai slowly woke up. Ouch, my head. Where am I? She slightly tilts her head and sees Kakashi's team walking forward. Titling her head more, she sees her students. Okay, if my students are beside me and Kakashi's team is ahead of us, where is Naruto-kun? I know, I saw him save me. Looking up she sees her blonde savior holding her. She instantly blushes. Should I tell I'm awake so I can walk? No, this gives me an excuse to get carried by him, she thought, giddily snuggling closer, falling asleep again. Naruto feels this and looks down and smiles at her soft and relaxed features. Hinata, on the other hand, saw her open her eyes, and was about to greet her until she did something that made her a little jealous. She snuggled into him further. She glared at her sensei. She's awake and yet she still wants to get carried by her. What the hell? I wish that was me instead, Hinata thought. Slowly Hinata realized she developed a deep crush on Naruto. The way he was so calm and caring with her made her like him. Along with how he comforted her and believed in her. She was just trying to figure out how to let him know. Ah yes, here is my house. Tazuna yelled. Reaching the house they went inside. Tsunami, I am home. At an instant a lady with long violet hair, black eyes and civilian clothing with an apron walks in and hugs Tazuna. San, you're back. How did it go? Tsunami asked. Tazuna grinned. Well, I got the help from the village, but this blonde man here saved our behinds. If it wasn't for him we all might possibly have been dead. Tazuna looked at everyone. Guys, this my daughter Tsunami, Tazuna says. Everyone greeted her with their names. Tsunami then turns her gaze to meet this young man. Blonde hair, nice physique and fierce eyes. She couldn't help but stifle a little blush by such a beautiful man. She walks forward.
I thank you for helping my 2 cents, she says, smiling. Naruto smiles back, it is no problem at all. The other ninjas here helped as well. Do you have a place I can lay Kurenai-chan? She is very exhausted. Tsunami nods. Yes, there are a couple bedrooms upstairs. Please choose one. Naruto begins to walk off with Kurenai. Going up the stairs, he picked a random room. Upon reaching the bed, he sets her down, but notices she isn't letting go. She only seems to snuggle closer to him. Not knowing what to do, he hears Kurenai mumble something. Naruto-kun. Naruto smiles. Is she dreaming about me? Well, you certainly are interesting, Kurenai-chan, Naruto thought. He proceeded to kiss her forehead. She then loosens her grip enough for him to set her down. Closing the door, he heads back downstairs. Reaching the bottom, he sees all the genin huddled up around Kakashi. Naruto, we need to talk. Naruto raises his eyebrows. What about? About Zabuza being alive, Gato's hideout. Zabuza-sama, are you hurt? The masked nin said. Zabuza rubs his neck. Damn, Haku, did you really have to do that? Now it's going to take me a forever to recover? He says, stretching out his neck and body. Haku only giggles. I'm sorry, Zabuza-sama. It seems that was the only way I could get you out of there without raising suspicion. And plus it's only for a few days you will feel the stiffness, she says. A short fat man enters the room looking disappointed at Zabuza. So Zabuza, it seems you failed. That's not what I'm paying you for. The short man yells. Zabuza looks at him. The next time they won't be so lucky, I can guarantee you that. Zabuza says, scowling under his mask. You better make sure of that, Zabuza, or I will have to take care of it myself, the man says, walking out. So Zabuza-sama, what did you think of the blonde-haired man? Haku says. Zabuza lies back down on the couch. His skills were amazing. And his swordsmanship, it's past mine by a mile. He could have killed me anytime he wanted. For once in my life I am not sure if I could hold my own against him. Zabuza says. Leaving the girl to wonder how good the guy really is. Tazuna's house. Zabuza, you say? I am on a hunch he is still alive? Naruto said. Kakashi nods his head at him. From my suspicions, it seems that the masked hunter nin was not a real one. You see, usually hunter nins destroy the bodies on the spot. Not only that, but the weapon of choice were senbons, which don't kill but only paralyze. Kakashi says. Most of the genin were shocked to hear that the man they fought might be alive. Kakashi-sensei, don't you think you are overthinking this a bit? He looked dead. Sakura said. Kakashi was about to respond until Naruto interrupted. Sakura-san. How much experience do you have out in the field of being a ninja? He says. Sakura thinks for a second. Well, not much considering this our first mission. Why? Kakashi face faulted and knew what coming. How much experience do you think Kakashi-san has out in the field? He says. Sakura instantly responds, well, he must have a lot considering he is a jounin and our sensei. Naruto nods at her answer. Yes, that is true. So tell me, why do you question Kakashi-san's logic when you have little to no experience at all? He says. Sakura retorts back. Well. Oh yeah, well, who says you have any experience also? You're just a genin like us. So you shouldn't be talking baka. Naruto raises his spiritual pressure, making everyone in the room freeze. Tell me, Sakura-san. Have you ever fought in a war where you had to end hundreds of countless lives all for one man that did not have any trust towards his own people? He says. Sasuke only snorts, joining in the conversation. Please, a dobe like you has never been in a war. Let alone a real battle. Naruto raises his spiritual pressure more, causing everyone in the room to go on one knee, showing he was serious. And Naruto, let me explain to him about what you said, Kakashi says. Naruto raises his eyebrow, before lowering the pressure then diminishing. Kakashi took a few deep breaths before he looked at Sasuke. Sasuke, you don't know what you're talking about, he says. Sasuke looks at him curiously. What do you mean I don't know? He says. Sasuke, Naruto I'm sure just came back from Kirigakure. Do you know what has been happening in Kirigakure? He asks Sasuke. Who Naruto now looks interested at what he has to say. Kakashi continued. Kirigakure has been in a civil war for almost a year. The previous Mizukage killed anyone not loyal, and that held the slightest power that could oppose him. Many people that died were people with Kekkai Genkai. Many escaped his rule and began to rebel. After half a year, the leader, who is now the current Mizukage, asked for Konoha to assist. Do you know who the Hokage sent to Kiri? He said, looking at the genins who seemed to be hanging on to every word. Suddenly all of their eyes widen. Yes, the person that was sent was Naruto. And from what I can tell, it seems he mostly ended the war himself, defeating over half of not the Kiri shinobi forces, but the Mizukage himself. Kakashi said. Many of the genins and now Tazuna and Tsunami were shocked at the news. Someone their age ended a war and defeated a Kage-level opponent. Impossible. Both Sasuke and Kiba said. Okay Naruto, why the hell are you a genin if you can beat a freaking Kage-level opponent? Kiba said loudly. Naruto sighs. Well Kiba-san, I guess I just wanted to see who else was out there. Kiba, along with everyone, looked at him questioningly. What the hell? That doesn't make sense, he says. Naruto smirks, not wanting to give out information. It's not supposed to. Anywho, Kakashi-san, how did you know about me being in Kiri? I doubt Hokage GG would let that out. Naruto said, turning his focus to Kakashi. Kakashi pulls out a black book and throws it to Naruto. And what would this book be, Kakashi-san? He says. Kakashi puts his hands back in pocket to take out an orange book before looking at Naruto. That book, Naruto, is called a bingo book. Many of the shinobi of the ranks Jounin and above carry these books. In them are ninjas who are criminals, missing nins, or threat to other villages' security. From what I can tell, you would be the last one. Many ninjas in the book are ranked from D-class shinobi to S-class shinobis. The higher the letter, the more dangerous. Take a look on page 256, Naruto. He said. Naruto opened to the black book and started flipping pages. He sees Itachi on one page which interests him. He eventually reached page 256. Name, Naruto Namikaze. Gender, male. Age, unknown. Village, Konohagakure. Height, 6 feet 4 inches. Rank, S-class. Affinity, fire, unsure of more. Justus, at least B to a class justice. Also able to perform weird Justa-like moves without forming hand seals, but by chanting a phrase. Bounty, 1 million Rio. Description, known to wear an all-white long-sleeved attire with a purple-like belt across the waist. Blonde hair, slicked back with a single strain in the front. Also known to be sporting a sword with a green tsuba on his left side. Physically he is very strong. His speed is fast, if not faster than the Yondame's Hirishin no Justu. If spotted, approach very cautiously. Known accolades, ended the war in Kirigakure himself fighting the Mizukage and his army. Naruto was very surprised yet satisfied at what he just read. So Mei-chan did this, you sneaky little minx. This is good though. But this is just the start, he thought. Naruto throws back the book. AKA-chan, Kyoka-chan. You seeing this? Naruto said. He received a mental nod from both. Yes, we do, Naruto-kun. It is pretty surprising you are already in S rank off the bat, but then again you did defeat an army plus a Kage. Akane says. Kyoka nods. Our dream is finally starting to come to realization, Naruto-kun, she says. Naruto nods with smile. With you girls by my side, these villages will crumble at our name, breaking himself from the mental link. Naruto looks at Kakashi.
Well, thank you Kakashi-san for the information. I believe I will take my rest, he said, walking back upstairs. Sasuke instantly runs to Kakashi and snags the book. He looks at it along with the rest of the genins, only for them to go even more wide-eyed than before. Holy shit! He is already an S-ranked ninja, Kiba said. Shino pulls up his glasses and decided to give his input. Well, it should not be of surprise, Kiba-san. He did defeat a Kage-level shinobi. Kiba only nods. Sakura and Sai were generally shocked at what they heard and saw. I don't think Danzo-sama will like this. I must report to him when I get back, Sai thought. Hinata was generally surprised at she blushed at how Naruto just kept impressing her even more. She then went upstairs to talk to Naruto. Sasuke though was very enraged. That is it. When I get back to Konoha, I am demanding the council for more training. They will train me so I can beat Naruto and Itachi. I will get stronger and have my revenge, Sasuke thought before throwing the book back to Kakashi. Kakashi-sensei, what are we going to do then for the next couple of days since Sabuza is still alive? Sakura said, snapping everyone from their thoughts. Kakashi smiles. Ah yes, for the next couple days you will be training. Everyone nods their heads while Sasuke's mouth turned into a menacing smile at the thought of getting stronger. So enough about that, everyone go rest up and tomorrow we will begin training, Kakashi said. They all nodded before heading in different directions. With Naruto. Naruto made his way upstairs to retire for the day. Heading from Kirigakure to Konoha, then here to Wave Country made him somewhat tired. One thing is for sure, it has been a long day. Walking in the hall, he decides to check on Kurenai. Opening the door, he walks in and check up on her. In Naruto's eyes, she was a very beautiful woman. It amazes him that she still has not had a boyfriend. Knowing she was fine, he walked out. Closing the door, he made his to a room at the end of the hall. Inside, he sees it's very plain. A twin-sized bed, with a desk and chair for lounging. Taking off Kyoka, he sets it on the side of the desk. He then strips down to nothing but his boxers, getting ready for bed. As he is about to lay down, he hears a knock on his door. Opening the door, he sees Hinata with a big blush on her face. For Hinata, it didn't help that he was in nothing but his boxers. Naruto-kun's muscles looked so sexy, she thought, drooling. Naruto, seeing the drool, can only help but laugh slightly. What is it you need, Hinata-chan? He says. Hinata blushes and quickly wipes off the drool. Naruto-kun, I wanted to ask you a question, she says. Yes, what it is, Hinata-chan? He says. Hinata looks down and pokes her two index fingers together before looking back at him. I was wondering if I could sleep with you tonight, she says, now sporting a full-on blush while looking on the ground. Naruto raises his eyebrows at this, then smiles. I never took you to be so bold, Hinata-chan. What spurred this on? He says. Hinata took a few moments looking at the ground before looking at Naruto's comforting smile. Just tell him. That's all you got to do, Hinata. Plus, what's the worst that can happen? Hinata thought. Well, I have to admit something to you, Naruto-kun, she said. Taking in a deep breath, she continues looking at him with determined eyes. Ever since you helped me that day when I was crying, I started to feel more confident. You believed in me when no one else would. You even took it upon yourself to train me and be my friend. I started to develop a crush on you when we would train. You were so strong, and you took your time with me. You inspire me to be more confident, Naruto-kun. She finishes without a stutter. Naruto was impressed. Wow, she did not stutter one bit in the whole time she said that. She also has a crush on me as well. I can see she has the will to become strong. Hinata sat there worried in anticipation of what he might say. Although she felt better knowing she finally said it to him. Naruto finally responds to her confession. Hinata-chan, you are a beautiful girl. I can already tell that if you continue training that you no doubt will become a strong kunoichi. I am very surprised that you like me. I can say I am attracted to your gentleness, and I would like to see where this goes, my beautiful lavender-haired girl, he says. Hinata instantly goes wide-eyed, and in a blink of an eye she glomps Naruto with her head buried in his neck.
Thank you, Naruto-kun. So does that mean I can sleep with you tonight?
She says.
Naruto chuckles.
You know I'm starting to like the new confident Hinata. And to answer your question, of course you can, Hinata-chan, he says.
Hinata squeals and goes to change.
Hinata comes back in a tight light-colored tank top that showed off her D-cup breasts along with only her panties, which were lacy black.
Naruto upon seeing her enter whistles, and could not take his eyes off her figure.
Wow, now I really like the new confident Hinata. You look amazing, he says. Hinata looks down with a blush at his compliment. She actually did have some more appropriate sleepwear in her pack, but this is how she regularly slept, that and she wanted to impress Naruto. Hinata knew that she was more overly developed than most girls her age. She figured this would be a good time to flaunt it with her newfound confidence. Hinata walks to the bed and notices that Naruto is staring at her very intently.
Is Naruto-kun checking me out?
She thought. Hinata knew she would have never done this a couple weeks ago. But with Naruto helping with her self-esteem, she couldn't help but do it. Reaching the bed, she flips the covers so she can get in.
Noticing Naruto is still staring at her intently, she giggles. Naruto-kun, are you going to keep looking at me, or are you going to cuddle with me in here?
She says. Wow, Naruto-kun, her boobs are almost as big as mine and she's only your age. They're going to be huge when she gets older, Akane says.
Naruto could only try and hold back a nosebleed, imaging how big they would be.
Naruto breaks out of his staring before nodding with a smile. Naruto walks over to the bed and gets in as well. Naruto takes the initiative and wraps his arm around her and brings her closer to him.
Hinata gently snuggles up close to him, leaving no space between them.
Hinata begins to think about how her confession went along with the current situation she's in now. I can't believe Naruto-kun says he likes me too. Not only that, but he's holding me. I'm so glad I stopped being so shy and took the initiative with him. This day has been wonderful, she thought happily before closing her eyes.
Naruto thought about the same thing as well.
Never knew Hinata-chan had a crush on me. I'm glad she told me though. She really is a nice and gentle girl. Not only that, but she is beautiful as well. I can't wait to see where this goes. He said, smiling before sleep claimed him. The next morning, Hinata felt the rays of sun hitting her face. She looks around and notices she is in a bed. Remembering what happened the night before, she couldn't help but smile brightly. Looking down, she sees an arm wrapped around her. Looking at it, she traces it back to where it came from. She sees Naruto's calm face with his eyes closed. She couldn't help but look at how handsome he is with his whisker marks and angular face. Hinata moves around to get into a better position to try and fall back asleep until she feels something poking her. Not knowing what it was, she moves her hand back and begins to feel what was poking. Grasping it, she begins to move her hand up and down, feeling the texture. She then hears Naruto moan in his sleep.
Hinata instantly lets go and squeaks. I just touched Naruto-kun's penis.
Oh my god, I hope he didn't notice. He's so big though, Hinata thought before playing through scenarios that included the object she just grabbed. Suddenly she feels Naruto wrap an arm around her that brings her closer to him.
You didn't think I would notice, huh, Hinata-chan?
You know, if you wanted to use what you just grabbed, you should have just said so. I would have let you, Naruto said with a voice that held lust. Hinata blushes hard and begins to have a slight nosebleed at his flirting. She turns around so that she's facing him.
Sorry, Naruto-kun.
I didn't know that was you, she said with a blush.
Naruto only chuckles.
Well, that's fine, Hinata-chan. But no, next time I might not be so forgiving, as it tends to have mind of its own, he said with a voice that still held the same amount of lust. Hinata rubbed her thighs together, starting to feel her loins warm up.
Well, since we're both awake, why don't you say we meet everyone downstairs and get breakfast? Naruto says.
Hinata nods, thankful that he didn't continue. With a smile before getting up to get dressed.
Naruto followed by putting on the same attire.
With Kurenai.
Kurenai woke up feeling rejuvenated.
She sits up and puts her legs on the floor and thinks about what she remembers from yesterday.
Let's see, so we were on our way to Tazuna's, I believe, and then I woke up to find myself in Naruto's arms.
He probably put me down here. How sweet of him to take care of me, Kurenai thought with a smile. She got up and stretched. She made her way to the bathroom and wash up. Finishing her morning routine, she hears a squeak across the hall. Kurenai gets out and follows it to where she heard it. She sees a door slightly opened. Looking in, she sees her student Hinata in a skimpy tank top. Not only that, but she was in the arms of Naruto. She instantly got jealous seeing them together like that. How I wish he would hold me like that, she thought. Kurenai then hears them shuffle around. Not wanting to get caught, she quickly heads downstairs.
Normal POV.
Naruto and Hinata finished up with their morning wash-up and headed downstairs. They arrived to see everyone at the table eating breakfast. Hey guys, nice for you to join us.
Breakfast is ready if you want some, Tsunami says.
Naruto nods, then looks at Hinata, who looks back at him with a blush as they separate to get food. Naruto grabbed a plate of what Tsunami made and headed back to the table. Hinata did the same, but her team along with everyone else noticed she was smiling a lot more brightly today. Kurenai picked up on it and remembered what she saw, making her slightly jealous, but decided to push it to the back of her mind. Kakashi sat there with his usual orange book. Seeing how everyone is at the table, he gets everyone's attention. Well, my little genins, after breakfast we will begin our training for this week. All of the genins nod their head while Sasuke's dark smile grows. Kakashi turns his head to Kurenai. Kurenai, while you were sleeping yesterday, I informed my team and yours as well that Zabuza is still alive. So I decided we should take this week to train them, he says.
Kurenai nods.
I figured, considering that Hunter Nins dispose bodies on the spot. She says.
Kakashi nods his head. Well, after breakfast let's begin training. Oh, and Naruto, what are you going to be doing since you really don't need to train?
He says.
Naruto takes a thinking pose.
Well, I guess I can help anyone who needs it, he says.
Kakashi nods his head.
Sasuke only snorts before heading out, followed by Sakura, who has to follow her Sasuke. As everyone finished, they headed outside. Once the teams were there, Kakashi turned around. So now that we're here, let's begin our training. We will start with tree walking, he says with a nice smile. Team 8 in Naruto face faults at what he just said. Sakura raises her hand.
Kakashi-sensei, isn't walking on a tree impossible?
Team 8 in Naruto face fault yet again, this time hitting the ground.
My god, I never knew that one of the smartest girls in the academy lacks common sense, Naruto thought. Alright, that's enough, Naruto-kun, aka Chan.
Although it is amazing we have other things to focus on, she says. Naruto smiles. Ah, my cute little mirror flower, the voice of reason in my life, he says while Akane giggles and Kyoka blushes.
Stop it, Naruto-kun, she says, blushing.
Chuckling, he diverts his attention to Kakashi, who finished the explanation of channeling chakra to our feet climb up the trees.
Sakura nods while Hinata interrupts.
Ah, Kakashi-sensei, we already know that exercise. Kakashi looks at her and scratches his head with a nice smile, trying to think of another exercise before Kurenai interrupted. Yes, Hinata-chan is right. So as your team does tree walking, we will do water walking. And plus I have been wanting to have you guys do that anyway, she says. With a nod from Kakashi, they break. Team 7 make their way to a large tree. Kakashi looks at them and begins to explain. He channels chakra to his feet, walking up the tree being parallel to the ground. You see, the trick is to start off slow since this is your guys' first time. You have to find a constant balance in channeling the chakra. Too much and you blow off the tree, not enough you won't make it up.
Kakashi then throws them 3 kunai. A good way to see if you are making progress is to mark where you end up with that. The 3 genins grabbed the kunai and began the exercise. Naruto walked with Kurenai's team to a small pond not far away from where Kakashi's team was. Alright, this exercise is a chakra control exercise like tree walking. Although it is a little advanced, Kurenai put one foot on the water channeling her chakra, followed by her other foot. She began walking until she was a feet out. The goal is to mainly concentrate on channeling the right amount of chakra. The reason why this makes it a little more advanced than the tree walking is since this is water, the flow is constantly moving and changing. So, you have to adjust the level of chakra you're putting out. But know if you put too much or too little you will sink. She finished walking back to land. The 3 genins started out by putting one foot on the water to get used to the flow, followed by putting their other foot on. Kiba was the first one to sink and began to continually sink. God damn it. Why do I keep sinking? He says. Naruto, seeing this, walks up to him. Kiba-san, relax for a moment. It seems you are putting too much chakra in each step. You remember in the tree exercise how each step you took, you regulated the chakra? He says. Kiba nods. Do the same thing you did with the tree walking exercise. Regulate each step with the right amount of chakra instead of putting too much, hoping to adjust to the movement of the water. He says. Kiba nods and begins doing what Naruto told him. Kiba began to walk further than before without sinking. Yes, I'm finally doing it. Kiba says. Seeing how he was done, Naruto decided to check on Shino and Hinata. It wasn't until he was attacked by a huge dog. Woof woof. The dog says. Naruto smiles. And who are you? He says, petting the dog. Kiba, finishing walking to and back, yells, this is my companion Akamaru. Right, boy. The dog barks and nuzzles his head into him. Interesting, why didn't I see him when we fought Zabuza? Naruto asks. Oh, Akamaru was there, he was hurt and tired after we tried fighting Zabuza with Kurenai-sensei, Kiba says. Naruto looks between Akamaru and Kiba. Well, alright. It seems you have gotten it done. I'll see you later, Kiba-san, Akamaru, Naruto says to them. Continuing his way down, he spots Shino. He sees that he has grasped the concept well, and had very little trouble. Walking to Hinata, Naruto sees she has the hang of it as well, but begins to sink after 4 or 5 steps. Walking back to land, Hinata spots Naruto. Hey Naruto-kun. How am I doing? She says. You're doing pretty good, Hinata-chan. It seems our exercises have been paying off. Hinata nods with a smile before she continues. Naruto took this time to walk to Kurenai, who is sitting down, and has been looking off at the sky for a while now. Sensing him near, she smiles at him and greets him. Hey Naruto-kun, how are you? She says. Naruto smiles back. I am very good, Kurenai-chan. So I wanted to ask you a question, he says. Kurenai looks at him a little curiously. What is it, Naruto-kun? She says. Naruto sits next to her to where their shoulders are closely brushing each other. Kurenai wasn't prepared for this, so she slightly blushed at such closeness. He looked at her. Kurenai couldn't help but stare into his eyes unable to break from his gaze. So Kurenai-chan, I was wondering, since we are going to be here for a while, and I owe you a date, let's have our date here. He says. Kurenai goes wide-eyed, followed by jumping at Naruto with a hug that knocked him down. They ended up in a position where Naruto was on the bottom holding Kurenai, and she was on top of him. She began to blush. Why yes, Naruto-kun. I would love if we had our date, she says. Naruto smiles and tightens his grip on her, bringing her closer to him. Alright, sounds good. What do you say about tonight? He says. Kurenai, who has a full-on blush, could only nod, not trusting her voice. Naruto laughs. Well, good. I will prepare everything for tonight. While you train and rest, my little ruby-eyed queen, he says, letting go of her and standing up, which she pouts at, only for her to realize Naruto is already gone.
Inside her head Kurenai was jumping up and down. Yes, I finally get my date Naruto-kun. Oh, I'm so excited. I got to freshen up, put on makeup, and so much more. As soon as our training is down I got to look perfect, she thought. A few hours later. Teams 7 and 8 finished with both of their exercises. Both teams were very exhausted. Deciding to call it a day, they made their way back to Tazuna's house. Teams 7 and 8 began to clean up and get ready for dinner. However, Kurenai saw who was in the kitchen. It was Naruto. While everyone passed by to get cleaned up, she gently tiptoed to see what he was doing. She then gets stopped by his voice. Kurenai-chan, I know it's you. And I suggest you go get ready and clean yourself up if you want go on this date, he says. Kurenai pouts. Ah, Naruto-kun, why are you spoiling all the fun? Are you cooking that for us? He only nods. Kurenai squeals and goes upstairs to freshen up. 5 minutes later. Naruto finished cooking the meals he decided that would be good for the date. Borrowing a picnic basket from Tsunami, he put the foods and drinks inside and waited for Kurenai to come down as everyone else were eating dinner. Kurenai came down. She sported a different outfit than her usual bandage dress. She came down in a nice red dress that hugged her body, showing off her curves. Along with red heels that matched her dress. It showed her toned legs as she took each step. Naruto smiled at how amazingly beautiful she looked. So Naruto-kun, what do you think? Kurenai says, twirling around, giving him a 360 view. Naruto walked near her, looking at her from top to bottom. Reaching out, he takes her hand and plants a kiss on it. A pleasure to meet such a pretty woman. Miss? Kurenai only giggles. Stop it, Naruto-kun. You know my name, she says. Naruto smiles at her. Wow, sensei, you look really hot. Kiba says, saying her sensei from the dinner table. Kurenai turns her head to Kiba, giving him an ice queen-like glare. Kiba instantly shuts up and looks down. Well, Kiba is correct on one part. You do look hot. What's the occasion, Kurenai-san? Kakashi says, taking his eye off his book. Kurenai hooks her arm around Naruto. Well, Naruto-kun is taking me on a date. So we're off. Don't wait up. She yells, dragging Naruto out the door. Everyone then hears a man chuckle. They all turn their head to Tazuna, who takes a drink of his sake. Ah, young love, he says. Meanwhile, Hinata sat there a little sad. I didn't know Kurenai-sensei likes him too. Maybe I should ask for a date too one of these days. He says he likes me, so I'm sure he will say yeah. I'll ask him as soon as we get back, she thought happily, not feeling as sad anymore. To think he has melted the heart of one of the ice queens of Konoha's. Maybe I should ask Naruto for tips, Kakashi thought before returning to his book. With Naruto and Kurenai. Naruto and Kurenai are walking down a trail surrounded by many trees. Naruto has one arm holding the basket full of food while the other is latched onto Kurenai. They walked in silence until she broke it. So Naruto-kun, were you taking me? She said. He looked to his side and smiled at her. Well, since there aren't that many restaurants here in Wave I can take you to, I just figured I could have a picnic under the stars. Naruto said. Kurenai smiled excitedly before looking forward. She then leans her head on his shoulder, letting out a happy sigh. So Kurenai-chan, let me ask you a question. As beautiful as you are, I find it hard knowing you don't have a boyfriend. So why don't you? He says. Kurenai giggles at the compliment. Okay, Kurenai, you got to stop giggling. Although I really can't help it since he truthfully compliments me, she thought. Well, thank you, Naruto-kun, for the compliment, but the reason why I don't have a boyfriend is because many guys in Konoha are perverts and only want one thing. She said. Naruto nods his head. I can understand that. It's a shame most guys don't try to and get to know such a beautiful rose as yourself. Although it seems that a Suma fellow is interested in you, he says. Kurenai blushes and lets out a giggle. Damn it, Kurenai, there goes another one. She thought. Well, most guys don't know how to treat a lady like you, Naruto-kun. And as for Asuma, I can tell he likes me, but I know he only likes me for my body, she says with a smile. Naruto smiles back at her, which gives her this warm feeling in her stomach. Well, I'm glad I'm getting a chance to know such a beautiful woman, Naruto says, smiling at her again. They finally reached a spot where it overlooked a lake with many lush flowers surrounding them. The moonlight reflected in the water, which made it look even more beautiful. Wow, Naruto-kun, where did you find this place? Kurenai says. Well, I found this when I was walking back after I left you. I thought it would be a good place to have our date, don't you think? He says. Kurenai only nods. Naruto takes out the blanket and sets it down for him and Kurenai. Naruto reaches in and takes out the food and drink. He takes out 2 bentos and hands one to Kurenai. She opens it in surprise. Wow, Naruto-kun, this looks so good. It's seafood too, which is my favorite. She says. Naruto only chuckles. I figured you would like it, Kurenai-chan. I hope it is as good as it looks. Naruto opens his as well, which contains more meat than seafood. Naruto takes out sake as well for him and Kurenai. Kurenai looks at him curiously. Naruto-kun, I didn't know you drank sake? She says. Naruto nods. Yeah, I picked it up after I went to Kirigakure, he says. Really? Why were you in Kirigakure? Kurenai says. Naruto then explained to her how he was sent there to end the war they had in Kiri. He also mentioned Mei becoming the Mizukage, and one of his girlfriend, which slightly peeved Kurenai a bit. Kurenai on the other hand was very impressed with his skills. To fight an army of shinobi plus a Mizukage was a feat all in itself. They both started to get to know each other a little bit more. Kurenai told him that she and a group of her friends were considered the ice queens of Konoha since every man that asks them out has been turned down. Naruto laughed at that and told her he must be lucky then to have a date with 3 of the 4. Naruto told her a little bit about his childhood, leaving out the sad parts, but also he told her of his training for 4 years in the Forest of Death. As Kurenai finished her bento, Naruto looked at her. Kurenai-chan, would you like to go for a walk on this fine night? He says. Kurenai smiles and nods his head. Before he gets up, Kurenai cups his face. She leans in and gives him a quick kiss on the lips. That was for taking me on this date, she says. Kurenai kisses him again with a little more passion. They pull back and Naruto smiles. And what was that for? Naruto says, smiling. Kurenai smiles back, that was because I wanted to. Naruto laughs, and holds his hand out to help her up. Kurenai gladly accepts it. After cleaning everything up, Naruto and Kurenai start walking by the lake. They soon come to a little pier on the other side of the lake of where they sat. Walking forward, Kurenai couldn't help but stare at the stars. Isn't the nighttime sky pretty, Naruto-kun? She says with her back facing him. It is, Kurenai-chan, but I know something even more beautiful, Naruto says. Kurenai blushes and looks over her shoulder. She couldn't believe how handsome he looked in the moonlight. Not wanting this night to end, she motions Naruto with her finger to come over to her. Naruto smiles and walks to her, while she's still facing him with his back. Naruto snakes his arm around her and brings her close to her chest. Kurenai lets out a small squeak. Looking down, she sees Naruto's arm around her. She then feels Naruto's head on top of her shoulder. She smiles and turns to her side and kisses his temple before laying her head on his, sighing in content. Kurenai enjoyed the feeling Naruto was creating for her. She felt like nothing in the world mattered when she was in his arms. Kurenai knew this would be the right moment to tell him. Naruto-kun, I want you to listen to me, she says, turning around so he's facing him while she's still in his arms. Naruto-kun, I think I have falling for you. You make me feel these things I have never felt before. You make me smile and giggle without even trying. And the way you hold me, and when you're near me, it makes me like nothing in this world matters. I think I love you, Naruto-kun, she says.
Kurenai looked at him worriedly in silence, slowly absorbing the information he has received. She slowly sees him smile. Kurenai-chan, I will admit I do feel very attracted to you as well. As for love, I'm not sure I could say it yet, but I know I will be able to if we continue this. You're my beautiful rose, Kurenai-chan. Will you be my girlfriend for now? He says. Kurenai has tears in her eyes at his speech. Of course I would like to be your girlfriend, Naruto-kun. She says, hugging him tightly. After a few moments of being in the embrace, she asks him. What do you mean for now, Naruto-kun? Naruto kisses her lips softly. I meant that maybe you and I will become more than just boyfriend and girlfriend, he says, chuckling. Kurenai's eyes widen as she knew what he meant. She hugs him tightly again. Naruto laughs and strokes her hair with his fingers. But you do know, since I am the last of my clan, I am in the CRA. Right. Naruto says to Kurenai. She nods. I do know, Naruto-kun, and I am fine with it, but all I ask is you love me equally as well. She says. Naruto nods. Of course, Kurenai-chan. She smiles and snuggles deeper into Naruto. Naruto-kun, can I sleep with you tonight? She asks. Naruto only nods. For you, my ruby-eyed queen, it would be a pleasure, but you have to promise me one thing when we get to Konoha? He says. Kurenai giggles. Okay, what is it, Naruto-kun? She says. Naruto slightly laughs. You still need to give me my jacket, Kurenai-chan. It gets cold sometimes, he says. Kurenai blushes in embarrassment and remembers she still has his jacket. Okay, Naruto-kun. I sleep with it sometimes, so if it means I can sleep with you, then deal, she says. Naruto smiles. Naruto and Kurenai start to make their way back to Tazuna's. Arriving, they see that no one is downstairs. Assuming they all went to bed, they made their way up to Naruto's room. Naruto took off his long-sleeved shirt and threw it near the chair. Kurenai, on the other hand, was about to walk outside and change until she saw him without a shirt. Naruto sees Kurenai looking at his chest with a drool. Kurenai-chan, the faster you get dressed, the more you will be able to see me like this, he says. Kurenai wipes off the drool and speeds off to the bathroom. Naruto shakes his head with a chuckle. Kurenai came back in what seemed to be short shorts and a plain red tank top. She then pulls down her short shorts in front of Naruto, revealing her smooth, fair-skinned butt. Naruto could only stare at how nice it looked. Kurenai knew what she was doing to Naruto. After pulling it all the way down, she tosses to where Naruto tossed his shirt. Sorry, Naruto-kun, but I feel more comfortable sleeping like this, she says, walking to bed with a sway in her hips. Naruto's hormones were starting to flare up now. My god. That has to be the most sexiest thing I have ever seen, he thought. As Kurenai laid down on the bed, Naruto took off his pants, only leaving him in his boxers. Kurenai knew he was fit, but not like this. So sexy, she thought. Naruto only laughs when he sees where she's staring at his chest. Every time, he thought. He made his way to the bed and laid his head down. Kurenai gets close to him and throws the covers over them and snuggles up with him. They continued the night with many makeout sessions and continually grouping. Both with a smile on both of their faces as they slept. The next morning, Kurenai woke up early, wondering who had guard duty. She was about to get up and leave note for Naruto, but only for him to wake him up and drag her back down. Kurenai, surprised at first, only giggles when she knows who do it. Naruto-kun, I have to get up, Kurenai says. Naruto only brings her closer to his chest and buries his head in her hair. Come on, Kurenai, a couple more minutes of cuddling, he says. Naruto starts to plant slow, soft kisses on her neck. Kurenai tilts her head to the side, loving the feeling. And Naruto-kun, I have to go downstairs to see who guards Atazuna, she says, barely mustering up the strength to push him off of her. That felt so good. A couple more seconds of that, and would have pounced on him right here, Kurenai thought. With a lovingly kiss to Naruto, she gets up and did her daily routine of washing and brushing. making sure she looks good when Naruto gets up. As she finishes, she head downstairs to see her team along with Kakashi. With Naruto. Naruto watched Kurenai leave the room they shared after his failed attempt at cuddling with Kurenai. Raising his body up, he stretches. He goes to grab his clothes until he feels arms around him with an impressive bust pressed up against him. "Oh, Naruto-kun. I believe you have something that I need," she says. Normal POV. "Well, Kurenai-san, I believe we will take the first shift of guard duty. Then every 2 hours we will rotate out with our teams. Sound good?" Kakashi says. Everyone nods. "Okay, so Team 7 will go. Sai and Sasuke will guard the builder, while me and Sakura will help with whatever is needed. Got it?" Kakashi says. All of them nod while Sasuke grunts. As Team 7 left, Team 8 were stuck there wondering what to do. "Kurenai-sensei, what should we do now?" Hinata says. Kurenai puts a finger to her chin and replies happily. "Well, this would be a good time to continue your training," she says. They were about to leave until they heard moaning. "Oh God, aka-chan, just like that they all hear." Tsunami walks in, finishing her daily chores, for her to hear the exact same thing as she came into the room. She looks at Team 8. "What was that?" she says. Kurenai tells everyone to shush. Listening closely, they hear it again. "Damn, aka-chan, your tongue is amazing." Kurenai and Tsunami instantly blush. Kurenai knew Naruto was the only one up there. Wanting to further explore, Team 8 along with Tsunami gently crept up towards Naruto's door. Seeing how there is a slight opening, they all peer in to see why Naruto was moaning. What they all saw made them all red in the face. A beautiful girl with red hair and a very developed body. Lemon. With Naruto. Akane sat there on her knees at the end of the bed where Naruto was, giving him fellatio. Akane slowly worked his shaft up and with one hand while she was taking in half of his length. "Oh God, aka-chan, your mouth is so damn warm," Naruto says with his hands behind his head. Akane slowly worked her mouth on his shaft, bobbing her head up and down. Naruto could only groan in appreciation. Akane began to deep throat him, taking all 8 inches of his meat pole in her mouth. Naruto's eyes instantly shot open. "Damn, aka-chan, oh God, I love when you deep throat me like that," he says. Akane sped up her movements by taking in him all and then releasing him on the way back up to take him in her mouth again. Naruto didn't know this type of feeling ever existed. He knew he was nearing his limit. Akane, who felt his cock twitch a lot more, decided to take it home. She sucked only on his head while moving her tongue around it. Naruto instantly put both hands on her head, knowing any second he would blow. Akane then hummed while she was sucking, which nailed the coffin. Naruto forcefully pushed himself in her deeper. "Aka-chan, I'm coming. Yes, I'm coming." Akane took his huge load in her mouth, gulping it all down. As she was still down, she sucked it one last time before he heard a pop. Naruto looked down and could see she still had little residue on her chin. That was so good, Naruto-kun," Akane says. Naruto, who was now full-blown turned on. He grabbed her and switched positions with her. She was now lying on the bed while Naruto was near her warm moist cavern. He pushes her up so she's laying on the pillow. Naruto gives one long lick to her slit, which only makes Akane moan. He licks her lips ever so slightly, teasing her. Akane hated his teasing. Every now and then she would buck her hips, try and get his tongue inside her. "Not yet, aka-chan. I want you begging for MT cock," Naruto says. He then plunges his tongue inside of her, giving her what she wants. She begins to moan uncontrollably. "All right there, Naruto-kun. Keep doing that and don't stop," she says. This only serves Naruto to turn on his performance further. While licking inside of her, he begins to stimulate her clitoris. Akane is now on cloud 9. "This is even better than the first time we did it. Oh God, I'm so close," she thought. Naruto-kun, I'm so close, keeping eating out my pussy.
She says. Naruto then sticks 2 fingers in her, prompting her to release.
Akane is now a moaning mess. Naruto feels her walls tightening his fingers. Naruto then stops, which leaves Akane babbling, wanting to her release. Do you want this cock, aka-chan?
Naruto says, slowly rubbing his head on her slit.
Oh god, yes. Fuck me, Naruto-kun.
Make me yours.
Akane said.
She instantly feels Naruto enter inside her.
Your dick is so big, Naruto-kun. It fills me up. Please fuck me now. Naruto begins to thrust in her in the missionary position. Pumping in and out, Akane can't help but hold on to the sheets.
Naruto is thrusting so much force into her he has to hold her hips.
Sweat rolling down both of them, they both are in perfect rhythm of each other.
Akane was now starting to feel her edge, just like when Naruto was fingering her but stopped a couple minutes ago.
Feeling her walls clamp on his cock, he thrust faster and deeper, near hitting her womb. Naruto-kun, I'm coming. Oh shit, I'm coming. Akane yells. Naruto releases his fluid into her while Akane does the same.
A few minutes after coming down her orgasmic high, she sees Naruto in between her legs, rubbing his head on her slit.
Akane can only moan and feels excited again. Ready for the second round, my love? He says. Akane only nods excitedly.
She pounces on him, kissing him with all her might. They both had a battle with their tongues to see who would win. Of course, Akane, being the submissive one, wouldn't go down with a fight. Naruto flipped her over, thus switching the position they were in.
Naruto knew he had to be an alpha to please Akane.
He began forcing his tongue on her more. He then started grouping her breast, pinching and rubbing her nipples.
Akane began to slowly become submissive.
Knowing he won, he still kept at it.
Akane was moaning inside his mouth.
Akane tried one last time to try and win the battle, so she flipped him over to gain the weight advantage. Just as fast as she flipped Naruto, she was then flipped over again by him. Not aware of their surrounding, they both fell on the floor. They stopped to see where they ended up. Still holding each other, they see they have made it to the floor. Looking at each other, they both share a laugh. Naruto then kisses her on the lips again. Naruto took this time to position himself. He went behind her as she laid on her side. He took one of her legs and lifted her in the air, while he took his cock and gently pushed inside her. He then pumped into her at fast pace. The sensation hit Akane really fast. She was now moaning with every breath. Oh god, Naruto-kun, you're hitting my G-spot. Your dick feels so good. She says. Motivated, Naruto takes this time to grab her face with his free hand to make out with her.
The kissing didn't last long, for Akane couldn't stop moaning.
He uses his hand to play with her nipples.
Feeling the euphoric high of him hitting her G-spot, her vagina clenches on his dick.
Naruto feels it and can tell he's on his end wits as well.
Whose pussy does this belong to? He says. Oh god, yours, Naruto-kun. Akane says, panting.
He smacks her ass one time before repeating.
I didn't hear you, whose pussy does this belong to? He says. Yours, Naruto-sama, and only yours.
She says. Naruto knew he was nearing his limit once again.
You're going to take this cum like a good little girl, right?
He says feverishly, still pumping into her.
Yes, Naruto-kun, toit cum in me Naruto-kun. Kiveme papi esprease. Akane yells.
Take it all, aka-chan. I'm coming. Oh yes, I'm coming, Naruto-kun. Lemon end.
The orgasmic high came down and Akane snuggled up into him as they laid on the floor.
You are the best, Naruto-kun.
I've never felt so good, she says.
Naruto chuckles. Yeah, well, I'm glad Aizen-sensei has me study those books.
You always feel so good. But you feel even better when you're my submissive little girl, he says, stroking her hair. They then hear multiple thuds at the door.
Looking towards the door they see Team 8. Hinata, Kiba, Shino were all on the ground covered in their own pool of blood. While Kurenai and Tsunami were trying their best to cover up their nosebleeds, but to no avail. Tsunami then runs away to the bathroom to clean herself up. Seeing them, Naruto looks at Akane and gives her nod. She understands and gives him a deep kiss before disappearing. Naruto gets up from the floor. Kurenai-chan, can you clean up your whole team and then meet me back here in my room please? Kurenai didn't even hear Naruto, as she was looking at him still naked. She finally snapped out of it and nodded with a nosebleed. After they all got done cleaning up their nosebleeds, they went back to Naruto's room. They see him fully dressed sitting in the middle of the bed. Seeing how they were back, they sit down on the chairs that were in his room. Looking around, he saw Kurenai along with her team with blushes, unable to make eye contact. With a sigh, he runs his hand through his hair. I assume you want to know who was just in here with me, right? Naruto asks. They all nod. Kurenai though was playing scenarios in her mind on how they would be having sex. Well, first off, let me ask you all, what do you know of the date of October 10th? Kurenai knows exactly where this is going since she is a Jonin. That was when the Kyuubi attacked Konoha, right, Naruto-kun? Hinata says. Naruto smiles. Yes, it is, Hinata-chan. And do you remember what they told you about the Kyuubi? He says. I remember Iruka-sensei telling us how the Yondaime defeated it or something like that, Kiba said. With a nod, Naruto continues. There is some truth to that explanation, Kiba-san. But what they didn't tell you is that they did not defeat it entirely. All Genins looked at him wide-eyed. The Yondaime knew he could not defeat such a powerful beast, so he did what he thought was best. He sealed the Kyuubi into a child. But do you know whose child? Naruto says. All three Genins wondered who it might be. Shino fixes his glasses. It would make sense for Kyuubi to be sealed into the child of the Yondaime. I don't believe he could ask such a favor from another, Shino says. Very good, Shino-san. You are right, it would only make sense. But now the question is, who is the child of the Yondaime? Shino begins racking his brain for the answer. Until it hit him. Flashback. So Naruto, would you like to tell us a little about yourself? Iruka said. Naruto looked out towards the students with his emotionless gaze. My name is Naruto Namikaze, and that is all you need to know. Flashback end. It hit Shino like a ton of bricks. Naruto, seeing his realization, speaks. Yes, I see you have figured it out, Shino-san. Hinata and Kiba look at Shino. Yes, I do, Naruto-san. You told us on the day you entered the academy. You are the son of the Yondaime. He says. Hinata and Kiba's eyes go wide. Why, you're the son of the Yondaime? What the hell? He says. Yes, Kiba, it is true. Naruto-kun is the son of the Yondaime and holder of the Kyuubi no Yoko, Kurenai says. Naruto turns his eyes to her. You knew Kurenai-chan? He says. Kurenai nods her head. Yes, I did, Naruto-kun. Unlike most people, I know the difference between you and the Kyuubi. She says. Naruto smiles at her, and then looks at the Genin. So to answer your guy's question, the girl you saw me with, Kyuubi, or Akane, which is her real name, Kurenai, and along with the Genin were shocked. Kurenai knew he held the Kyuubi, but she didn't know she was able to come out, let alone being a girl. Dude, you banged a demon queen. Nice. Kiba says. Only for him to get a whack on the back of the head from Kurenai and Hinata. Shino only shake his head while Naruto laughs. When you put it that way, then yes, I did. She is also my wife along with Kyoka-chan, he says. All four were both surprised that Akane was his wife. Naruto-kun, who is Kyoka? Hinata says. Naruto walks over to the desk and picks up his sword, then walks back and places it on his lap. Well, Kyoka is this sword right here. It's my pride and joy.
And the most beautifulest sword I have ever seen, he says, admiring it while his sword begins to hum. Kiba scratches his head. In Naruto, I'm not sure if you're aware, but that is a sword? He says. Naruto only laughs. This sword is a special sword. Unlike most, this is a sentient sword. Would you like to meet Kyoka and Akane? Naruto says. All four nod. In a flash, both Akane and Kyoka appear. Out come the two, beautiful as ever. Akane with her long red hair, beautiful face and impressive body. Kyoka looked the same, except her appearance looked more regal with her light white hair and dark blue eyes. They both suddenly see Naruto. Naruto-kun. They both yell, jumping on him, giving him a big hug. They pull back. Hello my two loves, how are you? He says. They both kiss him on the cheek. We're good, Naruto-kun. Who are these people? Akane says. Naruto introduces them. This is Kiba, Shino, my soon-to-be girlfriend Hinata. At this point Hinata's heart flutters at what she hears. Soon-to-be girlfriend? Naruto-kun's girlfriend? She thought. Turning his gaze to Kurenai. And this, my lovely wives, is my new girlfriend. Kurenai-chan. Kurenai blushes at being introduced as his girlfriend. Kiba then shouts. What the hell? How can you have multiple wives and girlfriends? You're only supposed to have one. He says. Naruto was about to. Akane interrupts him. Originally yes. But Naruto is the last of his clan, so the Hokage enlisted him in the C.A Act. Which gives him permission to date and wife as many women as he can to keep his clan alive, she says. Naruto then looks at Hinata. Hinata-chan, I hope this doesn't bother you. Akane and Kyoka are my wives. I love them with all my heart. As you know, I can take on multiple wives. Hinata-chan, I hope this doesn't change your mind about wanting to get to know me. Know that if you do decide to be my girlfriend, and maybe eventual wife, I will love and cherish you and them equally. Kurenai-chan knows this as well, Naruto says. Hinata looks at Kurenai, who gives her a warm smile. She looks back at Naruto and smiles. Of course it doesn't, Naruto-kun. I would love to become one of your girlfriends, she says, running up to Naruto, hugging him, followed by Kurenai, Akane and Kyoka. Man, why does Naruto get all the girls? Kiba says. After the hugs he looks at Kiba and Shino. How do you guys feel knowing I hold AKA-chan? He says. Shino speaks up first. It doesn't change anything, Naruto-san. You good man from what I can tell. And I hope you make Kurenai-sensei and Hinata-chan happy, he says. Yeah man, you're cool with me. I'm an Inuzuka, we have close relations to our companion animals anyways, Kiba says. Naruto gives them a smile. Thank you. We're back, hello? They hear coming from downstairs. Well, it seems that Team 7 is back from guard duty. I believe it's our turn. Come on, Team 8. Naruto-kun, I'll see you later, Kurenai says. The rest of the team say their goodbyes before heading downstairs. A couple hours later. It is dinner time and Team 8 have just finished their guard duty of Tazuna. Tsunami sets all the food down on the table, preparing everyone for dinner. With everyone gathered at the table, they begin to eat. Tsunami-san, this tastes so good, Hinata says, taking a bite out of her soup. Tsunami blushes and only scratches her head in praise. Well, I did as best as I can. I hope you all like it. She says. Yes, this tastes very good indeed, Tsunami-san, Naruto says. Everyone at the table then sees a little boy with spiky black hair, green jumpsuit with a yellow shirt walk and glaring at everyone at the table. Seeing this, Tsunami introduces him. Well everyone, this is my son Inari. Inari, these are the ninjas that are here to help your grandfather with the bridge, she says. Inari only snorts. Please, you ninjas are no match for Gato's men. You're all just going to die, he says. Sasuke snorts, getting everyone's attention. Please, I am an elite Uchiha. Nothing can defeat me or stand in my way, he says. Everyone at the table shakes their head in embarrassment while Sakura looks at Sasuke with stars in her eyes. Yeah right, you will die just like the rest of them. Just like my dad who died standing up to Gato's men. Inari says angrily. Don't be so quick to judge, Inari-san. We do have 2 jounins here, myself included, plus Naruto here who is an S-rank shinobi, Kakashi says, I smiling. Please, it doesn't matter, you will all die. And plus you're ninja, what do you know about pain and suffering? You probably live the good life. Inari said. Kakashi instantly looks at Naruto and knows what is about to come. A tremendous force of pressure was felt by everyone at the table. So much force that they were holding on to the table for dear life from falling. They all looked to see who was producing it, and they see Naruto standing to them with his back towards them as began to walk out, leaving the dinner table. He looks over his shoulder and the expression he gave not only frightened Inari, but everyone else at the table. You have no idea of the definition of pain and suffering. I should feel outraged at such an arrogant statement. But considering you are a kid, I will let it pass. I want you to remember that someone out there always has it worse than you. Naruto said, flaring his pressure even more, followed by exiting the house. Everyone who felt his pressure took a good couple of minutes to regain their composure. Why the hell did that kid do that? Tazuna says, taking a drink of his sake. Kakashi sighs. You see, Naruto didn't have that good of a childhood. He was beaten at least every day, and he was alienated by everyone in our village for something he didn't have control over. Even on his birthday many people would go hunting for him just so they can get a chance to kill him. So his life has been anything but glamorous. He says, clenching his fist. If I would have known, I could have done something for him, Kakashi thought. Tsunami, Hyanta and Kurenai were openly crying hearing about his life. Shino and Kiba looked down, but only respected him even more. Sai sat there being Sai. While Sasuke didn't care, while Sakura followed Sasuke's act. Is Naruto-kun going to be okay? Hinata asks, who is still crying. Kakashi nods. Just give him time. I'm sure he wants to be alone right now. She nods before they went back to dinner. Inari sat there surprised and very sad. Maybe he is right. Maybe people do have it worse than I do, he thought before finishing his dinner. Naruto, clearly a little enraged about Inari's statement, decided to take a walk outside to meditate. He finds a clearing with many herbs around him. He sits in a cross-legged position and places his sword on his lap, entering his mindscape. Naruto came across the mansion-like house, and as soon as he entered he was glomped by Akane and Kyoka. Naruto-kun, you know you can talk to us, right? Akane says. Yes, Naruto-kun, we love you, and we only want you to be happy, Kyoka says. Naruto only holds them tighter. This is why I love you girls so much. Let's go upstairs. I want to relax for a bit, he says. Akane and Kyoka nod and hold on to him as they walked upstairs. As they entered the bedroom, Naruto flopped on the bed. Kyoka flops on top of him and engages him in a hot kiss. After working their tongues together for a few minutes, she pulls away with just a little saliva hanging off her mouth. Naruto kisses her again. Wow, Kyoka-chan, what brought that on? He says. Well, I missed you and I haven't gotten my alone time with you yet, she says cutely. Naruto smirks and kisses her neck and whispers, God, you're so sexy, Kyoka-chan, he says. Kyoka begins to slightly moan. Naruto-kun, what about me? Akane says with a pout. Naruto stops kissing Kyoka and looks over at her with a smile. Of course, how can I forget about you, my love? They spent a good hour in a heated makeout session, along with momentarily cuddling in between. It wasn't until after a while he hears someone's voice. Well, looks like someone has come for me. I'll talk to you girls later. Love you, Naruto said, kissing both of them, leaving his mindscape. Kami, I love him so much, Akane says. Me too, aka-chan, me too, Kyoka says dreamily. Back to the real world.
Waking up from his meditated state, he sees a very young beautiful girl with long black hair, pale skin and large, dark brown eyes, a slender frame. She was wearing pink, sleeveless kimono. "Hey, what are you doing out here? You know you could catch a cold?" she says. "Ah yes, I was meditating, and it seems I have lost track of time." "What is your name?" Naruto says. "It's Haku." "And what's yours?" she says. "My name is Naruto. So tell me, what are you doing out here?" he says. The girl begins to pick up some herbs. "I'm just out here picking herbs for someone who is sick," she says. Naruto then looks at her. "Well, it wouldn't be very gentlemanlike of me to not help a beautiful lady as yourself, right?" Haku only blushes being complimented. They begin to walk picking up herbs in silence. "Tell me, Naruto, do you have anyone special to you?" she says. Naruto thinks about everyone special to him. "You know I do, Haku-chan. I didn't used to have that many close people to me, but now I do. And I am genuinely happy," Naruto says. Haku blushes yet again at the way he said her na-e. "What about you, Haku-chan?" Naruto asks. Haku instantly responds. "I do. He is the person who gave me meaning to my life," she says. "He must be special, Haku-chan. But tell me, why are you and Zabuza here in Wave?" Naruto says, continuing to walk forward. Haku instantly freezes and begins to back away slightly. Naruto senses she stopped moving, he begins to chuckle. "Think I wouldn't notice, huh?" he says. "So tell me, Haku-chan, why are you here?" he says, now facing her. Haku only sighs. "Okay, well, we were hired by a man named Gato to kill the bridge builder that you are guarding. Gato says he is in the way of him controlling Wave's economy," she says. Naruto nods before silence reigned over them for a while. "Well, what if I told you that could have a better life than it is now by not killing Tizuna?" he says. Haku gasps with wide eyes. Naruto continues. "What if I told you could live in a new village without having to worry about moving place to place or other shinobi trying to hunt you down?" he says. What do you mean by that? Isn't Konoha your village?" Haku says, looking at his headband. Naruto chuckles darkly. "That village is nothing but a shell of its former self. It was never my village, Haku-chan. And what I mean is, by the time the Chunin exams come around, I am going to defect and start my own village. A village that will be like no other. No hatred towards anyone, only peace within it. Also, it will be the most powerful village this nation has ever seen. So tell me, Haku-chan, would you like to start over?" Naruto says. She only nods. "I would really like to, but I would like to talk to Zabuza-sama about it first," she says. Naruto nods. "Very well, both of you come to this same spot tomorrow, and I will explain more." She nods before picking up her herbs and walking the opposite direction. It is then he senses another energy source near him. "Ah, Kakashi-san, good to see you out here as well. What is it you want?" he says with his back to him. Kakashi chuckles. "Well, I just wanted to see how you were doing. I thought giving you a couple hours would be good for you to come back," the one-eyed ninja says. Naruto nods. "Yes, I fell asleep out here. Sorry to have worried you guys," Naruto says, taking a seat on the grass. Kakashi walks over to him and takes a seat next to him. "Naruto, I would like to apologize," he says. Naruto turns his head to him. "About what, Kakashi-san?" Kakashi sighs. "If I would have known sooner you were my sensei's son, I would have taken you in myself. I could have tried to give you a better life. The things that happened to you could have been prevented if I just would have known," Kakashi says, holding his head down. "Thinking about things in the past are pointless, Kakashi-san. What happened has happened. Although the thought of having someone there for me is nice," Naruto says. Kakashi then puts a hand on his shoulder. "Naruto, I promise that now on if you need anything I will be there. Being my sensei's son, it's the least I can do. Naruto looks at Kakashi and smiles. No words were said for a few minutes. So my two-san, he was your sensei? Naruto says, looking at Kakashi. Yes, he was. In a way, I sort of looked at him like a father figure as well. He was the nicest man you would ever meet, but when it came to battling enemies he showed no mercy. He reminds a little of you, he says. Naruto smiles. Thank you, Kakashi-san. Now why don't you say we head back? With a nod from Kakashi they head back to the house. The next day, Teams 7 and 8 were out training again. Naruto was there with them, while Akage Bunshin was sent to guard Tazuna. Kakashi decided for his team that they would continue the tree walking exercise. Sasuke naturally became frustrated that he couldn't learn anything more powerful. Kakashi just explained that with more control his techniques will be stronger. Team 8 decided to do some friendly sparring. The three Genins would switch with each other in between rounds. Naruto decided to help Kurenai's team again. He helped Hinata with her gentle fist style. He told her to focus on more fluid movements. He even showed her moves she could add. In return, when she sparred with Shino or Kiba, the results of the change of her style paid off. She was able to hit them more often. Hinata was so happy she ended giving a kiss to Naruto's cheek before blushing. Naruto could only chuckle. As the team training ended, it seemed someone was aching to pick a bone with Naruto. As they began to walk off, Naruto was cut off by Sasuke. Hey Dobe, I demand you fight me right now. I know with my current skills now I can beat you, he says smugly. Everyone stopped and looked at them while Naruto only looked at him impassively. I'm sorry Sasuke-kun, but it would be troublesome to waste an ounce of my energy on someone whose skills are severely below mine. Naruto says. Sasuke fumes at his insult. Oh yeah? And why not, Dobe, are you chicken? I bet your parents would be disgraced to have a child like you. He said, trying to press his buttons. Naruto stood there frozen. His fists and teeth being to clench. I suggest you stop where you are, Sasuke. Now Naruto says in cold voice. Sasuke smirks. Oh, you don't like that, Dobe? Well, I bet your mom and dad were so ashamed of you they left you. Which is why you don't have any parents, he says. Sasuke, you will shut your mouth right now. Kakashi yells. Teammate along with Kurenai were glaring at Sasuke for hitting him that low just for a fight. Kurenai and Hinata worriedly looks at Naruto. Fine Sasuke, you want to fight? Then we shall have one. Let's begin. Kakashi-sen, you proctor. Naruto says. Kakashi sighs and just nods. Sasuke and Naruto take their place in front of each other. Hajime. Kakashi yells. Sasuke starts off going through hand signs Katon, Gokaku no Jutsu, fire release, great fireball technique. A huge fireball was sent out of Sasuke's mouth to Naruto. Naruto gathered Rieyasu in his hands and bats it away like it's nothing. Sasuke looks at him shocked for a moment before he threw a barrage of kunai and shuriken at him. Naruto beautifully dodged them. He then flipped over some, and while still in the air, grabbed the kunai that were thrown and threw it back at Sasuke with even more force. A few nicked him, which made Sasuke grunt. Seeing how justas and weapons were pointless, he engaged him in taijutsu. Sasuke dashed forward at his utmost speed, delivering a hook to Naruto only for his punch to be redirected. Sasuke continued his assault, even adding in kicks. Sasuke backed away for a moment and then lunged again with a roundhouse. The kick was an inch away from Naruto's face until Sasuke felt a tremendous weight on him that brought him to the ground in pain, disrupting his kick. Barely looking up, he sees Naruto. By my spiritual pressure alone you were unable to come within inch of touching me. You look better on the ground, Sasuke. That's where little pests like you belong. Groveling at my feet. Naruto raised his spiritual pressure further, almost suffocating Sasuke. He began to grab his neck as if some force was choking him. With Team 7 and 8.
Stop him Kakashi-sensei. He's going to kill Sasuke-kun. Sakura yells at Kakashi.
I don't believe Naruto would do that. And plus this for them to handle themselves. He says back to her. Kurenai and her team could only watch in awe. They felt the pressure that was heavily weighing them down, but they could tell in Sasuke's case it was much worse. Okay, I am glad Naruto's our friend. He doesn't even need to touch him, and he's able to defeat him, Kiba says. I agree with you, Kiba-san. I'm assuming this is why he is an S-ranked shinobi already. My bugs are afraid of him. It seems they are greatly affected by the pressure he's exuding as well. Back to Naruto. Look at you, Sasuke. That's where you belong. Beneath my feet, begging me for mercy to stop. Know that next time you talk about my parents, it might be the last time you see your only Kaa-san. Those were the last words Sasuke heard before blacking out. Naruto says, raising his spiritual pressure a little more. Naruto completely stopped and looked at Kakashi. He's fine. He just passed out due to the pressure, he says. Kakashi nods, telling Sakura to pick him up. Sakura passes near Naruto, giving him a glare before Naruto looked at her with cold eyes. Naruto walked back to Tazuna's with Team 7 and 8 behind him. Kurenai and Hinata come to his sides and hold him, trying to comfort him, to which he gives them both kisses, making them blush. That night, Naruto returned to the same spot and spotted Zabuza along with Haku. Zabuza-san, Haku-chan, I'm glad you could join me here, Naruto sees. They both nod. Haku tells me that you have a proposal for us that includes us and you defecting? So explain. Zabuza says. Yes, well, as you know from Haku-chan, I am going to defect from the village when the Chunin exams come around. The place that I'm going to defect to is called Yuzushi-Ogakure. I have not seen or found this place yet. But when I do, which should be around the exams, I would like for you to join and maintain construction. Naruto says. Zabuza sat there absorbing each bit he was told. Well, Yuzushi-Ogakure? Well, I don't doubt your strength at all after what I have seen. But how are you going to rebuild it and why are you defecting? Zabuza says. Naruto then explains how he is the Jinchuriki of the nine-tailed fox, and because of that he was treated badly, beatings, being without a home, living on the streets at young age. He also explained when he did find the place he will use his shadow clones as workers. After finishing his explanation, Zabuza sat there clenching his fist, angry at how this village treated a kid. Haku was sad and began tearing when he went into detail about his beatings. She was angry as well and wanted to hold him, comfort him. Well, you know what, Gaki, I'm in. We will help you. And we will make sure no one messes with our soon-to-be village. But I will only do this if you promise me one thing when we meet 2 days from now. Zabuza says, while Haku nods in agreement. Naruto smiles. Well, I'm glad you are in. No one knows about this yet, except for the Hokage, since me and him are close. I want none of you to speak of this to anyone. And what is it you want me to promise you, Zabuza-san? Naruto says. Zabuza smirks. Gato is having me go back to kill the bridge builder in 2 days. I won't kill him, and I will join you if you give me a good battle. With our swords only. You and me and nothing else, he says. Naruto smirks. Very well, I have been wanting to test out some of my skills anyway. You have yourself a deal. I will see you in 2 days. Naruto says, walking back to the house while Zabuza and Haku go back to the hideout. But before Haku walked away, he grabbed her hand and kissed it. I hope I can see you sometime soon, Haku-chan, Naruto says before disappearing. Haku only blushes while. I hope so too, Naruto-kun, she says to herself. While Zabuza smirks. 2 days later. With Kakashi. It's been 2 days since Naruto met with Zabuza and Haku. Kakashi told him that it was their turn on guard duty today. Naruto hoped Kakashi and Zabuza didn't kill each other till he arrived. Team 7 was there guarding the bridge builder. It seems it was almost finished.
Kakashi sat there reading his book as usual, until he notices the mist come in. So I was right about him. Alright, showtime, Kakashi thought. Sasuke, Sakura and Sai started to see the mist roll in. Team 7, team formation. Kakashi yells. All three suddenly position themselves in front of Tazuna. Zabuza appears before Kakashi. So Kakashi of the Sharingan, we meet again. Zabuza says. Kakashi pulls his headband up. Zabuza Momoichi. You will die today, Kakashi says, showing his Sharingan eye. Ha, to be able to see it twice. I am honored. But that is where you are wrong, Zabuza says. Let's begin then. They both engage each other. Sasuke was guarding Tazuna, watching his sensei engage Zabuza. Suddenly he senses a few Senbon hurl towards him. Everyone move. Sasuke says. Sakura pushes Tazuna out of the way while Sasuke and Sai dodge. Looking up, they see the masked hunter in front of them. Sasuke instantly rushes towards her with Sai in tow.
Sakura kuart Tasuna. Sasuke yells. Sasuke mets hakku vitt, kun ei viile hakku mets himat a standstill.
Sai begins to draw in his scroll. Choju Giga, super beast imitating drawing, he says as 6 ink tigers shoot out towards Haku. Seeing this, Haku disengages from Sasuke and throws multiple Senbon at them, destroying them all. I guess it's time to get serious, Haku says. She runs through hand signs Makio Hyosho, demonic mirroring ice crystals, she whispers. Suddenly a dome of ice mirrors surrounds Sasuke and Sai. While Zabuza was confronting Kakashi, he sees Haku forms the mirrors. So she finally used it. Zabuza thought. Kakashi looked in awe at the ice mirrors, never before he has seen that. Well, Kakashi, I believe those brats are good as dead, Zabuza says. Kakashi looks back at him. I wouldn't count them out just yet. Kakashi says. With Team 8. Kurenai, Hinata and Kiba were in the living room until Shino comes through the door. Kurenai-sensei, my tracker bug has confirmed that Kakashi-sensei and his team has engaged Zabuza and the masked Nin. Shino says. They all jump up. Okay, Team 8, let's go help Kakashi-san. Kurenai says. As they were about to leave, Hinata speaks up. What about Naruto-kun and Kurenai-sensei? He's still sleeping? She says. Go wake him up, Hinata-chan, and meet us there. Now go, Kurenai says, running out the house with Kiba and Shino. Hinata hurriedly runs up the stairs to Naruto's room. She sees him still sleeping in his bed. Hinata walks up to him and sits on the bed and shakes his shoulder gently. Naruto-kun, wake up, we have to meet up with Kurenai and Kakashi-sensei. They're fighting with Zabuza. She says. Naruto moves slightly and grabs Hinata and tugs her into him, so now they're laying with each other. He snuggles his face in her hair and gives one kiss to her neck. 5 more minutes, Hinata-chan, he says. Hinata was now blushing. That felt so good when he kissed my neck, and I feel so warm in his arms, she thought, snuggling closer, closing her eyes. She instantly opens her eyes. Wait, what am I doing? I have to go to Kurenai-sensei. She thought. She pushed herself off of him. Naruto-kun, I'm serious, we have to go now. Kurenai-sensei and Kakashi-sensei need us. Hinata says frantically. Naruto finally gets up and rubs his eyes groggily. Alright, Hinata-chan, let me get dressed, he says. Hinata walks out. A minute later he walks out in his attire and his sword on his side. Alright, let's go, Hinata-chan, he says. They soon walk down the stairs. Reaching the bottom, they hear a woman scream. They both look outside and they see 2 thugs with swords, with one of them holding Tsunami. So you're Tazuna's daughter. It's time for you to die. One of the thugs say. He pulls his sword out, about to stab her. Get away from my mom, you thugs. Inari says, coming out. Seeing this as a good distraction, Naruto was about to Shuunpa to finish them until he sees Hinata shoot forward.
Hinata with her Byukigen active, she rushes towards them. She delivers 2 fatal spots near his heart, shutting it down. The 2 men fell and Naruto Shunpad to catch Tsunami. Inari runs up to them. He approaches them and Naruto puts his hand Inari's head. "You did a great job, Inari, you helped us save your mom. Now take her inside and we will be back," Naruto says, smiling. Inari stood there surprised but later formed a real smile. "Thank you, Naruto. And I am sorry for what I said a couple days ago," Inari said, looking down. "Think nothing of it. Me and you share some type of pain. As long as we have come to an understanding, then we're fine. Now go," Naruto says, ruffling his hair again. Inari smiles and sees his mom waking up. He then runs to her. Naruto turns to Hinata. "Let's go, Hinata-chan, it's time we end this," he says. Hinata nods and they rush off to meet Zabuza. With Zabuza and Team 7 and 8. Kurenai arrived with her team to combat Zabuza. Kiba split off and entered the dome where Sasuke and Sai were. Kiba arrived and saw Sai knocked out while Sasuke wasn't faring too good with Haku. Entering the dome, Kiba and Sasuke tried their best to fight Haku but to no avail. She was too fast for them. Shino went to guard the bridge builder which Kurenai ordered. As for Kurenai, she was engaging Zabuza with Kakashi. Naruto arrived 5 minutes later and sees Sai, Sasuke and Kiba in the dome. He looks at Hinata. "Hinata-chan, go guard the bridge builder. We can't risk any more people fighting Haku," he says. Hinata nods, but as soon as she was about to run off, she was brought back by Naruto extending his hand out to grab hers. "Thanks for waking me up. Hopefully we can sleep more often like how we were when you woke me up," Naruto says, kissing her cheek. Hinata blushes red and slowly nods before running off. Naruto turns his attention to Haku. He shunpas behind a mirror to where Kiba or Sasuke couldn't see him. "Haku-chan, drop the mirrors. And immobilize by using your Senbon," he says. Haku nods reluctantly. She teleports to a mirror behind them and drops the mirrors. "What the heck, why did she drop the mirrors?" Kiba says. Suddenly he feels a couple pricks in the back of his neck. Kiba falls. Sasuke looks at him, then gets shoot with Senbon as well, dropping to the ground. The mirrors dispersed and Naruto walked up to her. "Naruto-kun, why did you have me knock them out?" Haku says. Naruto sighs. "Well, I don't want them to fight you any further. If I were to fight with Zabuza, and being I most likely defeat him, being how Sasuke is, I feel instead of looking at you and Zabuza as an ally, he would still see you as an enemy and try to damage you further," Naruto says. Haku nods in understanding. "Stay close and hidden for a while. As soon as I am done with Zabuza, then you can come out and join him," Naruto says. Naruto then hears a sound as if there are birds chirping. Looking towards Zabuza, he sees Kurenai, who has him in a Genjutsu, and Kakashi holding a blue orb of electricity. He then sees him lunge at Zabuza. "Shit, I can't let him kill Zabuza," Naruto thought. "Chidori." Naruto hears Kakashi yell. Naruto shunpas in front of Zabuza and points his finger in front of Kakashi. "Hato number 1, Sai, rest ein," Naruto says, at which Kakashi instantly freezes up and his arms locked behind his back, his Chidori fading away. Kakashi hits the ground and looks at Naruto. "What the hell, Naruto, what was that for?" "I had him," Kakashi yells. At this time Kurenai's Genjutsu wears off and sees Naruto in front of Zabuza. "Naruto-kun?" she says. Naruto looks Kurenai then Kakashi. "I'm sorry, Kakashi-san, but I want to fight him." As a one swordsman to another. Kakashi looks at him and sees he isn't going to budge. "Fine, but can you at least release me from whatever you just did?" Kakashi says. Naruto nods, swipes his arm across, releasing him from the invisible cuffs. Kakashi gets up and massages his wrist. "What the heck was that? He didn't even form hand signs and he restricted me like it's nothing," he thought. Kakashi-san, Kurenai-chan, please go by the bridge builder while I fight Zabuza, Naruto says. Kakashi nods and grabs Kurenai Shunshin towards the bridge builder. Naruto then turns his gaze to Zabuza. So brat, you're finally here. And you kept your promise. I don't want you to hold back. Got it? Zabuza says. Naruto smirks. Well, Zabuza-san, you wanted a fight between one swordsman to another? Well, you have one. Come, Zabuza-san. I'll show you the gap between our skills. Zabuza smirks. That's big talk, brat. Now let's go. Zabuza says. Ready, Kyoka-chan? Naruto said. Of course, Naruto-kun. Together she says. Naruto nods. Zabuza quickly lunges at him with his Kubikiribocho. Channeling chakra to his feet to increase his speed, he swings at Naruto with a wide arc, hoping to overpower him. Naruto stood there with his eyes closed until the blade was a few inches away. Naruto sheathed and pulled out Kyoka, blocking his swing with ease. Zabuza backs up a few inches and swings at him wildly. As Zabuza was about to connect, Naruto appears behind him, flicking blood off his blade. Zabuza feels pain on both of his legs and takes one knee. Looking down, he sees that Naruto gave him deep slices on the back of his calves. Zabuza looked at Naruto as he spoke. Coming at me without so much of a plan was very careless of you, Zabuza-san. That could have been the last seconds of your life. Let's try again, Naruto says, somewhat infuriating Zabuza. Steadily getting back to his feet. Zabuza takes a deep breath before putting both hands on his Kubikiribocho. He swings at him yet again. Naruto blocks it with one hand in his pocket. Zabuza follows up with another wing to his side, only for Naruto to block it again. Zabuza pulls back. Why aren't you taking me serious, you brat? Zabuza says, somewhat frustrated. Naruto smirks at him. There is no need to take a minimal threat seriously. It would only be insulting to my skills. But I rather suggest that you take this fight seriously, Naruto says, shunpoing behind, whispering in his ear. Because you will die if you do not, Zabuza-san, Naruto says. Zabuza goes wide-eyed, he didn't even see him move. Zabuza back away and faces him. Okay, if I can't face him head-on, then it's time I fight him without seeing me. Zabuza thought. Zabuza goes through hand signs. Kirigakure no Jutsu, hiding in mist technique, Zabuza says as the mist that surrounds them gets denser than before, making it harder for anyone to see. Naruto only hears Zabuza chuckle. You're finished now, brat. This is my specialty. You won't know what even hit you, Zabuza says, chuckling. Naruto stands there and sighs. It is foolish for you to believe that blinding me will increase your chances of succeeding. Very foolish, Zabuza-san. Naruto says. Naruto instantly flares his Rieyasu. Purple starts to surround him. Pouring more into it, the Rieyasu shoots up higher into the sky for everyone to see. The mist suddenly begins to disperse, leaving a very surprised Zabuza. Recovering, he hops off the bridge onto the water, goes through another set of hand signs. Seeing this, Naruto follows him, stepping on top of the water himself. Suiton, Daibakufa no Jutsu, water release, great waterfall technique, Zabuza says as a huge cascading waterfall forms and begins to descend on Naruto. Naruto sticks his palm out and pours a little more Rieyasu into it. Heido number 33, Sokatsui, blue fire, crash down. A huge wave of blue energy comes out of his palm and crashes against the waterfall, splitting it in half the instant it connects. As it cuts through the waterfall, it came crashing towards Zabuza as well. Zabuza, not expecting it, gets hit and flies back as it connects. Naruto quickly Shuinpas and grabs him before he sinks in the water, and Shuinpas back to the bridge and drops him on the ground. Zabuza laid on the ground and begins to get up to one knee. I have to admit, Gaki, that was a strong move you just pulled. You completely overpowered an A-rank Justu. Zabuza says, panting and somewhat bleeding from his forehead. Naruto smirks as he says nothing. With Team 7 and 8.
Amazing, he didn't even use hand signs, and the weird type of justu he used completely shredded Zabuza's in half, and even injuring him in the process. Kakashi says, genuinely amazed.
Yeah, Naruto-kun is amazing, Kurenai and Hinata said at the same time dreamily.
They both look at each other and blush in embarrassment.
Kiba and Shino on the other hand were amazed as well.
Damn, that are awesome.
You think those moves he does are teachable?
Kiba says. I'm not sure, Kiba-san, but if it is I wouldn't mind learning myself as well.
Shino says. Yeah, well, Naruto Baka just got lucky, right, Sasuke-kun?
Sakura says to Sasuke, who woke up moments ago to witness what Naruto did. That type of power, what is it? I must have it. I need it. I will demand him for it. The council will surely have him give it to me. Then I can kill him, Sasuke thought.
Before grunting at Sakura's comment.
That kid is truly amazing.
To think at only his age he is able to take such strong ninjas, Tazuna said while everyone agreed.
Sai on the other hand was feeling somewhat curious to what Naruto can do, and who he really is. He decided to keep quiet and keep observing him.
With Naruto and Zabuza. Zabuza finally gets up and clutches his sword.
He forms a hand sign and makes a water clone.
Zabuza-san, at this stage of the fight anything you do is pointless.
I can tell you don't have much left in you, Naruto says.
Zabuza only smirks.
I still got a lot left in the tank, Gaki.
Zabuza says as his clones charged at him. Taking one side of Naruto, they corner him. Both Zabuzas come down with a fierce swing.
Naruto stood there with his eyes closed, smirking.
This bothered Zabuza. Wasn't he going to do something?
Finally his swords connect, and he was shocked to see he stabbed Naruto. As he was about to celebrate getting a hit, he sees Naruto's form fade away, and his clone burst into a puddle of water. He then feels a cold, sharp piece of steel on his neck.
Too slow, Zabuza-san, now forfeit, Naruto says. Zabuza looked shocked. An afterimage?
His speed is amazing, he thought. Seeing that he was on his last legs, and he was in no position to strike, he sighs.
Fine, Gaki, you win, he says. Naruto sheaves Kyoka. Team 7 and 8 come near Naruto reluctantly, picking up on their body language. He speaks. Don't worry about Zabuza-san. He won't be attacking Tazuna anymore.
We have come to an agreement.
With that everyone starts to relax and Haku jumped down near Zabuza.
Suddenly he was jumped by Kurenai, hugging him tightly.
Naruto only chuckles and hugs her back.
Why hello to you, to Kurenai-chan.
You miss me? Naruto says.
Kurenai nods her head as she buried her head in him. Hinata on the other hand glares at her sensei since she wanted to hug Naruto too. As Kurenai got off, he looks at Hinata and nods his head towards him. She lunges at him, also hugging him tightly. She blushes at the feeling of the bodies close to each other.
She lets go and Naruto turns his attention to Zabuza and Haku. Haku felt somewhat jealous inside watching them hug Naruto. Why am I feeling like this?
I barely know him, Haku thought. As Naruto was about to speak to them, Kakashi speaks up.
So Naruto, what are we going to do about Zabuza since he isn't our enemy anymore? Naruto looks at Zabuza. Well, he will be going back to Kirigakure, Naruto says. Zabuza widens his eyes and shouts.
I can't go back to Kiri.
They will kill me. And plus there is still the war going on, Zabuza says. Naruto only chuckles. Zabuza-san, the war has ended and there is a new Mizukage.
Her name is Mai Terumi. She is a good leader, and I'm sure she would welcome you back. If not, tell her I sent you.
Naruto says. Zabuza looks at him in shock. How did it end? Zabuza says.
Naruto smirks. Well, I ended it, of course, he says.
Zabuza looks at him in disbelief, and then smirks. Why am I not surprised? Zabuza says.
He then turns to Haku.
Haku, what do you think? Should we go back? Zabuza says. I would like that, Zabuza-sama. she says. Zabuza nods. Naruto then motions Zabuza and Haku to walk forward away from Team 7 and 8. Zabuza speaks first. So how I am going to keep in contact with you, Gaki? He says quietly. Naruto says back in low tone, I want you and Haku-chan to escort Mei-chan to the Chunin exams this year. It's going to be held in Konoha. Once you're there I will give you further instruction, Naruto says. Zabuza and Haku nod and walk back to the team. As Kakashi was about to ask what they talked about, they see a short man with a couple hundred of thugs behind him. So Zabuza, it seems you were worthless. I wasted my money on you. I will take care of this myself. Any of you that can get Zabuza's head will earn a bonus. Oh, and capture the ladies over there, they might be useful to us. Gato says to the thugs. The thugs begin to charge. Kakashi eyes him. Who is he? He says. That is Gato. The man that hired us to kill Tazuna. It seems he's here to kill us, Zabuza says as he clutches his Kubikiribocho, while Haku has a Fusenbon in her hand and Kakashi taking out a kunai along with Kurenai, who looked at him with disgust at what he said. As they were about to lunge forward, Naruto steps out and puts his hand in front of them. He raises his spiritual pressure, freezing all of the thugs including Gato. You dare threaten capture of my girlfriends? How foolish, you will all die today, Naruto says. He puts his hand on the hilt of his sword and whispers. Hidetsum, Natajiri, the first, killing stroke. Naruto unsheathes his sword, swinging, then sheathes it back. Many of the thugs looked confused at what he just did, along with Zabuza, Haku, Kakashi and Kurenai. Suddenly they see blood spurting everywhere. Kakashi and Kurenai were looking ill at the scene. Zabuza had stars in his eyes while Haku and the rest of the genins were on the verge of throwing up, witnessing so much blood and body parts. The body parts of all of the thugs were cleaning sliced off. One by one, arms, legs and heads were being lopped off. All of the thugs that showed up dropped dead without realizing what even happened. Naruto slowly walked his way up to Gato. Gato began shaking in fear at what he just witnessed. Naruto came at him slowly with his sword. What are you? Gato asks. Naruto says nothing and slices his throat, ending his life. Walking back, he sees Zabuza look at him in awe. You have to teach me that, he says. Naruto only laughs. Come on, let's go. Naruto says as they walked back to tell the citizens of Wave what transpired. Few days later. After cleaning the mess on the bridge, the word has been spread that Gato has died thanks to Naruto and the rest of the ninjas. Wave celebrated with the rest of the ninjas. Completing the bridge, Tazuna decided to name it the Great Naruto Bridge for what he did for Wave. Seeing that their mission was complete, they headed. Zabuza and Haku head off for Kirigakure while Team 7 and 8 headed back to Konoha. Upon entering the gates, Naruto comes with Kakashi and Kurenai to deliver their report of the mission. Entering the Hokage Tower, they walk up to see Sarutobi. Hokage office. Sarutobi was listening to Kakashi's report about the Wave mission. He was very happy that he sent Naruto on the mission before it could have ended in disaster. Upon finishing the report, Sarutobi was about to congratulate them until an ANBU appears knelt in front of him. Hokage-sama. The council requests you and Naruto's presence in the chambers, the ANBU said. Sarutobi flares his killing intent a little. I didn't know the council could demand when and where people need to be, considering that I am the Hokage. Nonetheless, let's get this over with, Naruto-kun. Kakashi, Kurenai, you're dismissed, he says. Kakashi and Kurenai nod. Kurenai winks at Naruto before they both shunshinet out of the office. Naruto and Sarutobi began their journey to the council chambers. Upon seeing the door, they open it. Council chambers. Entering, the shinobi and civilian council turn their gaze to who has entered. Naruto walked beside Sarutobi. Seeing the shinobi council, he gives them a small bow. They nod to him in acknowledgement. He spots Mikoto, and he smiles at her brightly. Mikoto, seeing this, she blushes but winks at him.
He still looks hot as ever. I can't wait for my date, Mikoto thought. Looking towards the other side of the chambers, he sees a bunch of civilians sneering at him along with Sasuke, who is standing by them looking smugly at Naruto. He also picked up on the hushed whispers of Demon. Naruto then skulls. Well, I can guess why I'm here now. I assume it was only a matter of time. Though these civilians look like they're glad to see me, he thought sarcastically. Sarutobi made it to the front with Naruto facing the council. So what is it that you council members want? Sarutboy says, somewhat irritated. An old man speaks up with bandages over one eye. He wore a white shirt, with a dark gray robe, which covered his feet. The robe conceals his right arm, which was bandaged. It has come to my attention that boy over there has something that belongs to young Sasuke-san, Danzo says. Sarutobi raises his eyebrows. And what would that be, Danzo? Sarutobi says. Sasuke-san has said that he used very powerful light justice and his sword on the last mission he was in. Being that he is the last male Uchiha, it's only fair that he gets and learns not only the boy's techniques, but his sword as well, so he can raise powerful heirs. Danzo said. The civilians were nodding their head in agreement and whispering good things about Sasuke. Meanwhile, the Shinboi Council along with Sarutobi face palm at what they just heard. Do they really believe Naruto-kun is going to hand them everything he worked so hard to achieve? Sarutobi thought. Mikoto sat there embarrassed as well. He then looks at Naruto, who has a stoic expression. Naruto then speaks up. Very well. If Sasuke-kun can unsheath my sword, the sword along with my techniques are his. Everyone looked at Naruto genuinely shocked he was so willing to give him his sword. Naruto-kun, are you sure you want that? Sarutobi says a little worriedly. Naruto smirks and says nothing. Sasuke smirks and walks over to Naruto. Don't worry, Dobe, I'll make sure your sword gets used right. He says. Naruto-kun, I don't want his filthy hands touching what is yours, Kyoka says. Then don't, Kyoka-chan. Show him how strong our bond is, my beautiful mirror flower, he says. Sasuke goes to grab the sheath. As soon as his hands touched the hilt, he got jolted by electricity, and various cuts appear on his hand. Sasuke screams, Egg. What did you do, Dobe? Sasuke yells. The civilian council gasps. Hokage-sama, he attacked Sasuke-sama. Put him in jail. One civilian said. Yes, Hokage-sama, the demon is out of control. Another civilian said. Sarutobi grew a tick mark and silenced everyone with killing intent. Enough. Naruto-kun did nothing, he says. Naruto then lightly chuckles and puts on a menacing smile. Everyone turns their attention to him. Yes, well, it seems that my sword does not want to be wielded by him, Naruto says. A couple civilians then walk Sasuke out to the hospital, glaring at Naruto on the way out. Danzo then speaks again. Regardless, you will teach Sasuke-san your techniques once he is recovered, he says. Well, I don't think that could happen. Naruto said. And why not? One civilian said. Naruto puts his hands in his pocket, bored manner. Sasuke-kun is too weak and always will be, Naruto said, smiling. The civilians began to uproar, shouting many things towards Naruto. It wasn't until Naruto's ear perks up and hears something interesting from a civilian. Fading out of existence, he shuanpas to the man and grabs him by his neck and slams him to wall, making small spider web craters. Would you like to repeat what you just said? I didn't think I heard you correctly, Naruto says. The civilian he held tried to squirm, but to no avail. Naruto then stabbed his sword into shoulder, impaling him into the wall. The civilian man screamed loud. Many of the shinobis that were present thought one thing. Fast they then saw the man got impaled, and were surprised at his outburst. Naruto then began to choke him with one hand. Now would you like to repeat what you said? Naruto says, tightening his grip. The man finally sputters out. We should have killed your whore of a mom when we had the chance. He said. Naruto then freezes up. Should have?
Does that mean? Naruto raises his spiritual pressure, dramatically crippling everyone in fear.
Where is my mother? And that's the end of this part. Sorry, I had to leave y'all on cliffhanger, but I wanted to say that this what if will have 7 or less chapters now. Peace, make sure you hit like and sub button. Goodbye my students.